It is SDH AM, and sooner or later I will figure out how this whole thing works where I can actually show my camera at the same time that I trigger my audio, because you know me and technology, everybody. Welcome to a new round of SDH AM. John here, you there. Thanks for dropping by as you always do. It's Thursday Thoughts, which means we know that hour number 2 is the Power Hour with Nino and Niko. FuboTV's Nino Torres joining us at 10 o'clock, and Sounder at Heart and Pulso Sports' Niko Moreno joining us from Seattle. He'll be joining us in the last half hour of the show, at least until we hit the 2-hour mark, and then we'll have all the news to get into, and we're going along. And at a time, gee, what a surprise, I know you all are. And that is hour number 2 and beyond. Wrapping up hour number 1, kicking off bottom of the hour, is going to be Kaylor Hodges, because it is that time of the schedule where we end up talking about anything and everything USL, because USL did not stop while the cup that the world is chasing continued. And so we'll catch up with Kaylor on everything going on, USL Championship, League One, and we've even got some USLW to get into briefly, because we'll have more of that tomorrow. Jake Griffith, play-by-play voice of Minnesota Aurora, part of the Final Four in the USLW. He'll be joining us at 10:30, and we're also efforting Vermont Green and Asheville and Salmon Bay, just to go equal time with all four. But we also have Saturday programming as well. That leads us to where we are right now. Opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. Starting your day with the most important stories in the game, the right way to start your morning. Black Pitch Coffee, part of the SDH community, showing up at events all over Atlanta. Try their home blend made with beans from Brazil and Guatemala, heavy-bodied, notes of walnut, semi-sweet chocolate, and a rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff, powered by Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. And this is where, if those of you that have Tubi, T-U-B-I, the TV service, the streaming service, here's a bolo for you. There is a new docuseries out called Raising Her Game. It talks about Title IX, talks about women's soccer, its growth, Texas. Since I did not graduate from there, we have someone coming up who I cannot show a hand signal to because I didn't qualify to do that. And so we now have Raising Her Game, 3-part docuseries out. And we woke up some folks to talk about it. Grand Exalted Poobah of the actual production in and of itself, Rush Olsen. He is joining us, and I'm going to bring in Lauren Lapomarda as well to find out what's going on in her mind. But because, like I said, Lauren, I specifically cannot, since I did not graduate from Texas, Austin, I cannot give you the proper hand greeting, but I will just wish you both a good morning, and thanks for dropping in.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much for having us. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Now, my first question, Lauren, goes to you, since we are a chivalrous lot here on the show. Ladies first.
Thank you.
When this idea was presented by Rush and Rush's group to Texas women's soccer, the Longhorns, what was the initial reaction from all of the players and all of you? You're sitting there going, why us? What was the initial reaction when this came online?
When it first happened, we were all like, why is a camera following us around? We had no idea at first what was going on until Rush brought it up to us. And I think our second reaction was, this is going to be super exciting. We finally have a voice, and we finally have the platform and the followers to, let the world know what women's sports is all about.
So, Rush, let me ask you, why the University of Texas, Austin, and why pursue this particular story in a docuseries?
Well, it kind of, the scope kind of expanded, actually, John, because initially we were looking at, Texas had a couple of All-American players in Lexi Misimo, Trinity Byers, some other outstanding players like Lauren, things like that. And initially it was going to be mostly just focused on Texas. What are they doing? Can they take this program to a new level? All those sorts of things. And as we got into it, we realized that there was a bigger story that had to do sort of with the entire evolution of soccer and women's sports in this country. And so what it evolved into was telling the story of how soccer in this country rose alongside women's sports, because they kind of happened on the same timeline. through the eyes of Lauren and her teammates. And one of the big fulcrums of that was a lawsuit that happened in 1992, a Title IX lawsuit that resulted in the formation of the soccer program in which Lauren got to play, but also had an effect on other schools and a bigger effect on how women's soccer in particular, but then men's soccer as well, was affected in this country.
So, Lauren, as this is coming together all in this one form, how much of what Rush ended up discovering and wanting to include in all of this, how much did you and your teammates know off the top, and how much of this was a learning experience for you?
It was definitely a learning experience for me. I think it was very informative from what I learned from Rush and the squad. We knew a good chunk thanks to our coach, Angela Kelly, at the time. And going in, we learned more of the little details of what goes on behind the scenes, because at the University of Texas, you go big or go home, so you know the big things. But when sitting down, reading about certain things and understanding the behind the scenes actions and the little details, it was very intriguing and informative, and it was very surprising to learn about some things as well of what happened back in the day compared to now.
So then, Rush, how much did you learn? How much did you know going in? And part of a documentary and a docuseries is the treasure hunt and piecing the jigsaw puzzle together. How much of the jigsaw puzzle did you have, and how many of the random pieces that finished up the tower and the moat did you get to discover along the way?
I spent a lot of time in some UT libraries, John, because there was a great discovery process. Because I don't know that I had realized how all the threads sort of came together here, and I think that's one of the fun things about trying to put together a narrative like this. And so, when we found out about the 1992 lawsuit, which that affected, it was a Title IX lawsuit, and Texas then, as now, was one of the biggest women's sports schools in the country. But they were still out of compliance with Title IX. And this suit said, hey, you know what? You're going to need to add programs to be in compliance with Title IX. And so what you saw was the settlement of that lawsuit added the women's soccer program, also softball and rowing. And then other schools probably looked at that and go, gosh, if they can get sued and they're one of the best women's sports schools in the country, we can get sued. And so I remember when I discovered this stat, I was in the Stark Center, which is UT's athletic library, that in 1992, when that suit was filed, a little over 30% of Division I schools had women's soccer programs. By 1998, more than 80% did. And that was a little bit of a light bulb moment, because I was like, wow. And then you go back and you look at all the schools that added soccer in those time periods. And all the whole SEC basically added soccer. All of these schools are adding soccer. And now, what effect did that have? Well, it gave the U.S. a huge advantage, because now you had these schools with great athletic facilities, good coaching, and all these women athletes that were playing in high school and things like that. Well, over the course of the 2000s, then we saw this great dominance by the women's national team, and that had a lot to do with it. And I think that was one of the coolest things.
And Lauren, as Rush is finding out all this stuff, how much of an education was it for you? I imagine you knew going in what the University of Texas means to women's soccer on not just an SEC or back then a Big 12 18, which is what they are now. See, I just sit there and I go Big 12, but you've got 18 members, so you're the Big 12. So there's been growth for the sport, and you have been one of the millions of benefactors of that growth to get to be able to spend time at the University of Texas and then have a professional career after that. When I imagine you got to see kind of almost finished products as it goes, we mentioned how much of a learning experience it was for Rush. What was it like to get that information and be able to sit there and go, man, I really am a part of something special here?
I think one of the biggest moments for me was I was reading through an old UT yearbook, and there was some informative information in there, and it talked about an ice cream machine being finally produced into the athletic dining hall. And at the time, at the women's sports, it was just new. We were just being brought up. But They used our money for a new ice cream machine for the men's athletics department, for the rest of the men to, get ice cream, have an opportunity to enjoy themselves and celebrate. Where I was like, what? They got ice cream and they didn't want to fund and benefit women as we just went through this big lawsuit. We're trying to grow the sport. So when I look at that moment to where I am today, I'm very, very grateful for the women that paved the way and decided, hey, why not us? Let's build a legacy and let's start a movement for civil rights for women. And that's what they did. And knowing that back then to now, I'm very appreciative and grateful. And I think often at times we forget to appreciate that moment because we wouldn't have the great facilities and the great resources and the great education that we have now today in the 2020s. So I'm very grateful, and just learning about all the information that they went through to, work hard for us, allow us to have a better future for our goal. And for my goal was to go pro. So in order for that to happen, they had to pave the way for me. So I think it's very, very amazing, and I'm very grateful that I got that opportunity. So learning those little small details, I'm very appreciative, and it was kind of crazy for what they had to go through and what we have now. So that was my learning experience, and my main takeaway from that is appreciate everything that's given to you, because you never know what the person before you had to go through.
And I'm going to go ahead, Rush. Yeah.
Well, and one of the things that we tried to do in producing this was, for a lot of the historical stuff, we try to have the audience learn through the eyes of the players.
Yeah.
So I found the one Lauren's referring to, I found this old 1975 University of Texas yearbook. And we, in my our head of production studio, we're sitting there, and I had Lauren and a couple of her teammates read passages from it. And one of them was the one she's talking about with the ice cream machine, where, they couldn't fund women's soccer back in 1975, but they could fund an ice cream machine in the dining hall. And that was one of the most fun parts. We went to the UT Athletic Hall of Fame with Lauren and a couple of her teammates, so they could learn about some of that history. And took a couple of her teammates to the National Soccer Hall of Fame, which is in Frisco, Texas. And so those were some of the really neat, really fun to do, but hopefully also a good way for the audience to learn about this stuff, where it's a little more dynamic than just a few slides on a screen.
Raising Her Game out on Tubi, 3-part docuseries with the University of Texas and their run in women's soccer to the Big 18 championship in 2023. Lauren Lapomarda, Pro Soccer's Lauren Lapomarda, and writer, director, Grand Exalted Poobah of said project, Rush Olsen, hanging out with us here on the morning show. So I'm going to exercise my right to go snake draft now with my questions. Rush, let me ask you, how much thought went into this idea? When did it start? When did it end up on the napkin at your favorite restaurant of like, hey, I've got a great idea? From genesis of idea to completion through the edit, how long a process are we talking here?
So I got brought in slightly after the project had started. So it started, I guess, in the spring of maybe a little bit had been shot in the fall of 2022, which is when Lauren and her teammates won the Big 12 regular season title, because that was when they first started shooting. And so there were a few things that sat in the can. The project didn't go anywhere. And then we got brought in the summer of 2023. So then we shot a lot of stuff throughout the fall of 2023. The last big shoot we did was at the United Soccer Coaches Convention in January of 2024. Oh, luckily that fall, by the way, Lauren and her teammates had done us a solid and went ahead and won the Big 12 championship. So good work there. We didn't really script that, but I'm quite pleased with that result.
Oh, come on, you certainly, come on now. You got to have the episodes do the right things. You absolutely scripted it.
Yeah. And so anyway, so then we spent a few months editing it. And so it was done in 2024. It debuted on a service called Victory Plus for a while. Yep. Did good viewership there. And then Tubi got interested earlier this year because, of course, they're a Fox property. They are, interested in soccer content. This one is actually living in their World Cup hub that they have on the Tubi platform in a place called Beyond FIFA World Cup Beyond the Games. Yep. There's a little section, so that's where you can find it.
All right. So, Lauren, do you feel like a role model with everything that you've been able to do growing up, then going through the University of Texas and then starting a pro career? Do you feel like a role model with the the after effects of what has happened there at the University of Texas with the lawsuit going another 30 years and pursuing a pro career?
I would say yes. I definitely feel like a role model. I'm a really chill, reserved person. You can ask Rush. I will give compliments to others, but it's hard for me to receive it. So thank you very much. If you're also saying I'm a role model, I appreciate that a lot. But yeah, I would say yes. I'm grateful to do what the women did before me and continue that tradition of paving that way for younger athletes, especially in the women's field. So yeah, I would say I definitely am, and I'm going to continue doing it whether I retire or not. So I'm going to always pave the way and support women and continue to keep achieving their dreams and goals, because whatever you put your mind to, you can do anything. Anything is possible.
Go ahead, Rush. Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, I would 100% call Lauren a role model. There's a section in episode 3 where one of her former coaches talks about her and stuff like that, and you can already tell she's a very friendly person. So like we like Lauren, but Lauren's not the biggest player. Lauren, when she gets out there at left back, she is dogged. Like you do not want to mess with her. Like pass the ball to the other side of the pitch. And if you look at all those things, her work ethic, all of that, and that's obviously was one of the coolest things about the documentary, was getting to know Lauren and her teammates. And there's a ton of great folks that she got to play with.
So, when you look at Rush, everything that you piece together, and I imagine that there would probably be a whole lot of DVD extras and sections and things like that ended up on the cutting room floor that didn't make the final edit of the 3 episodes. You're looking at over 4 hours of material and piecing together the jigsaw puzzle. That to me is always traditionally one of the toughest things to do when you're trying to tell a story, because the story, while it may look like a straight line going from one end to the other, sometimes it loops back around itself. Sometimes there's a part in the middle that goes back to something in the beginning. When it came to, the cutting room floor, how much stuff could be a DVD extra that could augment what these 3 episodes were? How much is still out there, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
There is definitely still some out there, and you will see it. You'll actually see it trickling out over the next few months.
Okay.
Because if you go to the Mint Farm Films YouTube channel, we have taken a whole bunch of that material and put it into DVD extras is a pretty good word for it. There's also a website called rhgmovie.com that has blog posts with some of that. And then we're also trying to continue to build content around this. So later this week, probably tomorrow, I've got some interviews that are going to drop that we did with Brandon Aubrey, Cowboys kicker, who was a soccer player, and Eddie Lewis, former U.S. men's national team player. And I talked to them about the college path, because both of them came to pro soccer through college, which is not, especially on the men's side, not the usual path.
Right.
But one of the things that we cover in the docuseries is that college path, and that how do players on the women's side especially, but also on the men's, get into pro soccer and life after soccer. And so, as I'm sure there's a lot of discussion over, does college have a role? Should we have more academies that develop more of our players, things like that? And, you try to look at the big picture of that and edit and how, if you're thinking about just the big picture, should college soccer have a big role? And I'll let the viewer watch what we put out there and judge.
There you go. The answer should be choice D, all the above, and blank yes. College soccer should have a role in addition to the academies, and it should all. We've been firm believers. And you got the chance to kind of sample it in Italy, and then you've come back to Texas and see what's going on professionally here. What does it mean to prosper as a part of the larger picture from what you've been able to gather over time?
Oh, it means a lot to this small town. Grew up here in Prosper. It's small town, big heart. Very known for our football, so shout out to them. We have an excellent program. So when I first joined, I had the privilege of joining a lot of great individuals at the time, and I'm still best friends with them, one of them being my sister. So for when we first started to where it's now, we were still uprising and coming. Gotta give it some growth. Like I always say, Rome wasn't built in a day. So once you got to the final product, we were the first team, and I'm very privileged to say this, first team to get to the regional final and break into some new territories that the program hadn't been. And it was to make history, and it was awesome. And seeing the town come together and really invest into the women's sports, because we're such a dominant team or individual school in football, and it'd be like, hey, we're actually pretty good in soccer too, on both the men and women's side. So seeing that to now, which shout out to the class, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, class of 2022, I believe, they finally won state championship in the UIL in Texas. And coming out of UIL, Texas, like you said, it is tough. We have some of the top talent here in Dallas, Texas, which is awesome to see. And for them to win it all, and I had the privilege to also see it in person downtown in Georgetown, Texas, which is near Austin. So seeing it from when I started to now, and the growth, oh my gosh, it was exciting. It was amazing, because it showed how equal everybody was across the board in the sports realm in Prosper, Texas. So seeing it now, I think it was just one apologies for my improper English right there. It was.
Look, I'm trying to wake up too, Lauren. It's all good.
I apologize. I'm so sorry. It was one first groundbreaking, because it's like, wow, we just made history, to now being able to see it come to life and be successful. So I would say it means a lot here in sports. We're very passionate, we're very fiery, and we're very appreciative, because everybody starts from round one, and then everybody works their way up to the top. And to see that achievement from each years that the program went through, oh, it was awesome. It was awesome. And I could not be thankful.
See, Rush, you get a Prosper Eagle all revved up, and you see what happens here.
I didn't go to that this year, but I did go to one of the days of the soccer state championships here this year. And it is really fun to see. I mean, soccer obviously has grown a great deal, and they're supporting their schools. They are out there. I mean, it is, is it a football state championship? No, not quite, but it's in a big stadium, and there's a lot of fans there, and it's pretty cool.
Yep. And we are part of that here in the state of Georgia as well, with our efforts and impact at the Georgia High School Championships. So if there's ever an opening for me to ask a high school question, I'm going to ask a high school question. All right, Rush. Last question goes to you. What do folks need to take away from watching this docuseries? Obviously, a lot of folks know about the sport, and there are lessons embedded in the docuseries. But what are the bigger lessons here that you hope folks take away from all of this? Whether it's warning signs, lessons, all of that. What should folks take away from this other than sitting there and enjoying 3 parts of a docuseries?
Well, certainly, you always hope it makes them think and think about some of the issues we cover, such as player pathways. Role of college soccer, thinking about that history and how people did, do things to create opportunities for others. But what I got to at the end, when I watched Lauren and her teammates win the Big 12 championship, and thinking about all the history and all the research and stuff we'd done, I was like, to me, in a lot of ways, that's the true purpose of Title IX. It really, to me, illustrates that, giving these young women an opportunity to go and get all the things they got at University of Texas, that education, that opportunity to compete. We talk a lot about how competition can be really good for athletes of all kinds. And to me, that's really illustrates the true purpose of Title IX. So I think that would be the takeaway of, wow, I really understand what Title IX helped accomplish through a soccer lens.
Raising Her Game on Tubi, rhgmovie.com. They are on the Insta, the IG, or the Gram, whatever the kids are saying these days. It's Raising Her Game and the number 1. You can go to IMDb and do an IMDb search there as well. Rush, Lapo, it's great to catch up with you, and thanks for letting us know about this and letting us be able to share what it means to the soccer community and what it should mean to the soccer community. And for those that are good, and for those that are fans of sport and success on a bunch of different levels. Thanks for dropping by this morning. We really appreciate it. And thanks for hanging out.
Thanks for having us, John.
I appreciate you a lot.
There we go. We'll see Lauren soon. We'll see Rush soon. And there you go. Raising her game on Tubi. And catch it there. And it's also, as Rush said, it's all a part of the FIFA content as well. And so raising her game. 4 hours long. It's the 3-hour docuseries. 3 episodes. Catch it on Tubi. You can watch it as you wish, or go and find your favorite way to ingest that kind of programming. But we thought that was really cool, and we couldn't miss this opportunity to catch up with Lapo and Rush this morning. All right, bottom of the hour. So that means we do the hot tag, and we go from Texas. We go to Alabama and find out what's going on in USL with our friend Kaylor Hodges of the USL show. What's it like here? When do you head back to school?
Next week. I am back in next week. So, and really that means later today. I got to get stuff ready. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got like a month off to somewhat recover. It's fine.
You got a month off. Really, there wasn't a month off, though. I mean, considering that USL Championship, League One, they were still rolling throughout this entire thing. We'll start with the headlines of the last 30 days. What should folks retain from the last 30 days they need to know about?
Generally around the league, not huge amounts of information coming out. CBA, since we've talked, I think was signed, which is great. Obviously that is no longer a saga. Really, it's just coming down to the League Two is going into playoffs. The W League is reaching the semifinals, which those are 4 household names.
Mm-hmm.
If there was a quote unquote league's choice of teams to be in the semifinals, they got it. In the championship, Tampa Bay's fallen off a little bit, and Charleston has resurged and has shown that they are really good. The West is chaos, as you could guess, and League One is chaos, but it's also it's starting to shape off into tiers, and I think that it's going to be an easier conversation in League One. It's kind of been status quo in the USL in that sense.
Yeah, Charleston Battery's Ben Pierman voted USL Championship Coach of the Month for June. I still have yet to see a Prinks. I'm still trying to figure out what a Prinks looks like, even though I know it's a tire, but I still have yet to see a Prinks, sir.
I've never seen a Prinks tire.
Mm-hmm.
No one's ever seen a Prinks tire. You have Goodyear, you have, Firestone, you have all the other good fire brands. No one's ever bought a Prinks tire.
Yeah. To your point about Ben Pierman, Charleston is now even in matches played with Tampa Bay now 9-2-4, 5-point difference now with Charleston. But then you mentioned the chase pack with the beginning of the peloton being Charleston, Detroit City, and Lou City. Has Lou City finally awakened? Have they finally hit that rhythm that you were looking for?
No, but it's better. I would say it's stabilized.
Okay.
People in Louisville wanted to get rid of Bird fairly quickly, which I think is a little harsh, but it's also difficult to imagine going from being so good to not so quickly.
Yeah.
But even so, this team has shown they have all the talent. They're putting pieces together. It's getting a little bit more consistent as we go through their time playing. I think it's stabilizing. Do I think they're good yet? Not quite, but I think it's stabilized.
Okay. Because I know that, and we all know basically that the level of patience, because of what has been accomplished in the past at Lou City, that is their level of expectation. And I imagine that there are a lot of people with short fuses, if you want to call it that, considering what they anticipate Lou City should be. And that slow start, I'm sure, probably sent folks running through the house like Kevin in Home Alone.
I would counter that a little bit
by
saying maybe the fans are that way, but the front office is not. Because if you look at the beginning of the Danny Cruz era, it was not great. There were a lot of fans for the first 2 years that wanted Danny Cruz fired.
Yeah.
They thought he was not a big game coach. They thought he was basically just a product of having good talent. So when you consider the fact that Danny Cruz was getting the hashtag Cruz out tweets, I think that just kind of shows you where they are in terms of fan base versus front office, because front office stayed very firm with him
Yeah.
and gave him for his first, second, third season, obviously no questions on if he'd keep his job. So when we talk about the short fuse and we talk about all that stuff, that's a fan base thing, not a front office. The front office is very patient, which is kind of surprising considering how good they are.
Yeah, and I mean, and that is, I guess, kind of where I was going, was that you have the hue and cry from the fan base because they're always expecting to be 1, 2, right up there at the top of the Eastern Conference. But we've seen what patience at Lou City has garnered over the last little bit. Indy 11 has hit their stride a little bit, winning 4 out of their last 5, and now they've gone from below the playoff line to being a part of that chase pack now in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, Indy is interesting. They are definitely bucking trends. They are a team that is very defensive. They're not going to string together passes. They're going to be very direct. And you would think that would lead to their underlying numbers being poor in the sense of, okay, they're going to sit deep. They're going to take on a lot of shots, but they're really effective at cutting out chances before they get to the final third. And so while they're not going to be putting up a 4-goal performance, it's going to be a strangling 1-0. It's going, or a 2-1, where they're getting just enough goals. They're causing you to not get enough good chances that you're realistically going to get 2 chances a game, and you have to take it, or else you're just not going to come out with a win. They've been a surprising team for me.
Okay. Over the last 30 days, who else has surprised? And I guess this might be where we're evolving into red light, yellow light, green light. Who else has been a surprise for you over the last 30 days?
In the East, it's no one really. The East is pretty much exactly what I thought it would be.
Right.
Out in the West, it's not really a surprise, but I think it's a conversation in San Antonio.
Okay.
Where they have fallen a little bit. Obviously, they still have a game in hand. They could end up being tied with Orange County. But I do think we've seen the best version of San Antonio already this year, which is a really good team. Let's not get that twisted.
Right.
But, I think that the version we saw of them at the beginning of the year is the best version. If they get back to that, they're a title contender. However, they've fallen back to earth a little bit. They're not creating as much chances as they were. They're not defending as well as they once were. They're giving up really simple chances through the midfield, places that you didn't expect that they would be giving up chances, and the offense is just not it going forward right now. Meanwhile, Orange County, and I've made this point several times, Orange County is sitting in first, and we have not seen anywhere close to their best game yet.
Really?
They have been, it has felt like it's been stuck in neutral for them all year long because of injury. They've had injuries. Granted, they always have injuries. So at what point does that become a different conversation? But I feel like we have come nowhere close to seeing the best version of Orange County, and they're still sitting in first. I think they are an underrated force out in the West that people are going to get caught up on your Charlestons because they're going to score a lot of goals. Tampa Bay got off to the best start in a long time, so everybody's going to talk about that. But Orange County, if they can get it right and they get everybody healthy and get out of neutral, they're probably the best team in the league.
You say this, and they've only lost twice in their first 16. But I know that a lot of folks, you can sit there and say, but they've drawn 7 times, and they left a lot of points on the table.
They have. And if you watch the matches, I mean, heck, if you watched last night's match, that was a 2-2 draw, I do believe. And it was another one of those matches where it just felt like they were just kind of cruising the whole game. And it never really felt like they really got on the front foot for the entire match. We haven't yet see Orange County put the, foot on throat for a full 90 yet. And that just shows you just how good this is.
Kaylor Hodges at the USL show, at Kaylor Hodges on the 280 character app. You mentioned the Western Conference. And if you get past Orange County and San Antonio, you weren't kidding, because literally 3 to the bottom is separated by 6 points. Literally, you could have a good week and go from below the bar to above the bar. New Mexico United at 21. They have one more win than Roots. who are also at 21 points. But New Mexico United and Sacramento Republic also have 2 matches in hand, or 3, depending on who you're talking about here. Sacramento's lost 3 of their last 5, and they're in 5th place at a part of that 19-point gaggle. Colorado Springs is at 19. El Paso's at 19. Tulsa's at 19. They all have 5 wins, and you've really got to know your tiebreakers in the USL right now, because God forbid if the playoffs started today, holy ish. With that. And then that gets you to Lexington, who's at 18. Phoenix, who's at 17, and they've lost 3 of 4. Vegas is at 15. They've lost 2 in a row to get there. And Monterey Bay has 3-1-1 in their last 5 to get to 15 points. You weren't kidding when you said that it's crazy and chaotic, because 6 points from 10 teams to go from the bottom to 3rd, basically. That's crazy.
You have Lexington, who's looking like a potential best team in the league right now.
Okay.
They have been fantastic. And, obviously points aren't there, but that's because the beginning of the year started so slow. Another team that started so slow that is looking unbelievable right now, granted their last match versus San Antonio was very lackluster, is Monterey Bay. And they get their first win versus Birmingham a while back, and they have looked amazing since then. They've been using high pressure on the lines. They've been able to connect play. They use Nick Ross really fun. He is sitting a little bit deeper now, just kind of being a screening midfielder, and then who has been awesome for them, mostly coming in off the bench, trying to work up his minutes, now starting to start a bit. But this is a team that has really put it together under Cavillo, and I've been really impressed with what Monterey Bay is doing. You mentioned they're off by 6 points. And keep it going. Somebody falls out of the top 8, and they're in the playoffs. You look at a El Paso who, yes, they got a win in their last match, but it has not been good.
No.
You have Sacramento who finally got a win, but they were also not playing well. Oakland, it's been not good lately. FC Tulsa, you just kind of question what version you're going to get of them. Yeah. Defensively, they've been great. The attack, it feels like they have all the pieces, but it's not working. As it turns out, that Taylor Kaylor guy was pretty good at soccer.
Yes.
And so they just don't have that bona fide goal scorer up top, and they haven't been getting results because of it. There's a lot of teams, especially when you look 5 through 8, that you can sit there and say they could easily fall out of this thing. And right now, Monterey Bay and Lexington might be my picks to be making the playoffs if those teams drop.
I was going to say, because we always like to say that if you're putting teams into the playoffs that currently are not there, you have to pull out the commensurate number of folks. And so you literally are you're looking at everybody at 19 points and sitting there going, y'all better get it together, because you got folks behind you that are doing well, huh?
Looking at Oakland that way too. Really, it's 4 to 8.
Wow.
Oakland has not been good recently, and you look at them losing their top goal scorer. He had to be stretchered off the field. It's easy to say that it is going to be an interesting run-in to the end of the season in the second half now for the Western Conference.
All right, so then let's go to what's going on or going wrong in the East. Below the bar, well, I guess we can start kind of at the bar, because the Miami FC, we always have to put that article in there because that's how they reference themselves. They have not won in 4. They had a great start. Now they've kind of hit the speed bump, and the muffler's dragging a little bit. They're at 18 points. They seem to be the most in peril at the moment. Rhode Island kind of seems to be hovering, kind of like what they always do. It almost seems like the first half of the season in Rhode Island, they're trying to figure themselves out, and then they'll work their way into the playoff picture in the second half of the year. Just whatever is wrong, Kano figures it out, then they get into the playoffs, and then they make some noise from there. What's going on in Birmingham right now, since that's closest to you? They've only won 2 of their first 15, and they're at 14 points. They've got a lot of draws. Once again, you leave a lot of points on the table, but what's going on in Birmingham?
I have put together 2 basically hour-long videos detailing the issues of the attack and the defense, where I did a film study, got the whole magic marker, and people could see what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But really what it comes down to is in the defense, they have conceded 18 goals from open play, 14 of them. So 14 of 18 coming from crosses is not ideal. So when you watch the match versus Miami, it was very clear at the very beginning that they were just going to pump balls into the box. They were going to put in crosses. And how does Miami get their one goal? You'll be shocked. It was a cross. And pieces look like they're there. I just think it takes some small tweaks. Really, they started off the season with a high press, winning the ball back in the the attacking third for Legion, defensive third for the other team, and getting really good chances. And since then, it has become a lot more pragmatic, a lot more trying to slowly break down another team, which hasn't worked because it's been pick up the ball, dribble, 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 pick up the ball, pass, dribble, 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 pick up ball, pass, instead of these quick passes. And by then the other team's back line is set, and it's just hard to create chances that way. They were really good as a transitional team, and it makes sense. This last week, we were out in Loudoun County. We went up to Leesburg for Loudoun versus Sporting Jacks, and we talked to Anthony Limbrick, the head coach for Loudoun, and he made a comment about how the USL Championship is the most transitional league he has ever seen. And he's coached in Europe. He has coached in Oceania. He's coached a lot of places. And that was a quite interesting conversation. So it makes sense for Legion to be best when they are taking advantage of really what the league takes advantage of, which is transitions. So I think all the pieces are there for Legion. I think it can be fixed. I think it takes tactical changes and not necessarily personnel. I think personnel is fine. For Rhode Island, they confuse me a bit. Okay. Again, they have the pieces. They have what you want, but the way they use JJ Williams is interesting. There was a while where they were like, hey, we should have JJ Williams taking the long throws because long throws are awesome. When they forget that he is 6'4" and made of pure muscle. Maybe you want him being the one heading the ball.
Yeah.
Also, there was a while where he was taking corners. Once again, he is 6'4" and only made of muscle. Maybe you want that guy in the box.
Yeah.
Defensively, they're always good. They're just always good defensively. Kano knows how to coach a freaking defense. He's so good at it. But it's just disconnected at times. They have one more game in hand on everybody else. If they can make right by that, I think they're in the playoff line, if I'm doing math correctly.
They are. They get a win, 19 points, and they would knock the Miami FC out of the 8th spot.
With Miami, you'll be shocked to hear this, but Eloy Room is good at soccer. Yeah, so wins looked a lot more stabilized. Same thing with Lacosia. Just looked like they had more, a little bit something extra to get the attention off of Rocha and other players. And he's taking up more gravity and making good off-ball runs. So maybe they're going to stabilize a bit.
Brooklyn, you mentioned Loudoun, so I'm going to go ahead and ask about Loudoun. 1 win in 14, 2 points in their last 5. I mean, it's pretty stark right now, but there's someone below them that we probably got to talk about as well. But since you mentioned Loudoun, I'm going to ask about Loudoun and what's going on there from what you were able to see.
In person, you see what they're trying to do and you like it. They usually are a team that are going to try to press you. They're going to try and create chances immediately. Yeah. And for the most part, it works, but they have really struggled with the defensive side of things. And a lot of it comes down to, okay, do we want to run a 3 at the back? Do we want to run a 4 at the back? They have just been leaky in the defense. And especially with the way that they use Kwame Awuah, who he's everywhere on the field. At one point, he's a left back playing the number 10 because why not? He's just good at soccer. But that also means they get exposed, and they are a team that has just been exposed defensively. I think if they can shore up some defensive issues, they have enough firepower going forward. I mean, Olsen is unbelievably good, and same thing with Bushi. Oh my gosh, Abeltifo Bokora.
Wow.
There we go. But Bushi is awesome, and he's one of the best players in the league for a reason. You see the pieces and how are they going to use Bolu Akinyode? Is he going to be a 6? Is he going to be a center back? They get kind of dealer's choice there. I think there's pieces. I think there's ways to make it work. I think it's not going to happen this season, but this does feel like a bit of a couple years ago with Northern Colorado in League One, where you saw it under Eamon Zayed, and heck, you're even seeing it right now with Corpus Christi, where they're not going to make the playoffs this year, but you're seeing the pieces come together, and you're saying next year might be it. I have a lot of trust in what's happening with Limbrick.
Now, there's a team below, obviously, expansion team, first-year club. You know that they're going to be growing pains attached. Sporting Jacks, safe to say that that's basically where we are right now. They're winless in their first 15, 0-11-4, minus 22 in goal difference. They'd lost 3 in a row before picking up a point last time out. When you look at the first-year club in Jacksonville, what are you seeing?
I've watched them. I've watched every single match because, I mean, well, that's what we do.
Yes.
But watching them in person for the first time, TV does not do justice on how bad they are.
Wow.
It is horrific. It is just disjointed. They're just not, every idea is just, they're not doing anything with it. For example, against Loudoun, they started off in a 4-2-4. They had 4 players pressing the box on goal kicks. And did they press when the goal kick happened? No, they just stood there. They just kind of left spaces on the wings, which is like the one thing you can't do versus Loudoun, because that's where all their attacking talent is on the wings. They just kind of stood around. Then they just kept doing long balls over the top. They don't have anybody that's winning long balls over the top. It was so disjointed and horrific. It was bad. John Morrissey, USL Tactics, on all the socials, he came out and said this team's not going to win a single game.
Wow.
He has said that very publicly. Like, this is modern day Antigua Barracuda. Like, this is horrific. And if you don't know what we're talking about, 2013 Antigua Barracuda, the worst team ever, winless, completely winless, losing matches by 5, 6, 7, 8 goals. Horrific team. This is close to that. This is really bad, which is shocking considering how good their Super League team is.
Yeah.
And the fact that they came through and said, hey, we're going to go do local talent. We're going to take from the local universities. And that's how they tried to build the Super League team. And it worked. It was really good. Got them to a semifinal this year. They were one of the best teams in the league almost all year long. And then when it came to building the championship team, they completely scrapped that. They said, no, we're doing it completely different. We're getting old USL guys that have not done it in a long time, or maybe have never really done it. They've stuck around, but they've been backup players. Well, they're starting, and you can tell that they are just not good. I don't know what the plan is. They're going to either have to completely tear down this year, start over, or there's going to be several years of this, which is just not good for anyone.
Yeah, no doubt. Shift over to League One, and the chaos that you're talking about in the Western Conference. You've got a couple of groups, like you mentioned. Mike Jeffries named Coach of the Month last time out, considering that Charlotte is unbeaten in their last 5. They have rocketed up the charts. They're now a point behind Union Omaha, who lost 3 in a row at one point and looked like they were going to be running away with everything. And they won last time out to stop the 3-game losing streak. So you got Union Omaha, Charlotte, 1 Knox in group number 1. 1 Knox has won 4 in a row. Then you've got the Chase group, AV Alta, Boise, which is really doing well for a first-year club. Fort Wayne, who's doing really well for a first-year club. I think it was, 10 unbeaten at one point? Yep. And you're seeing our good friend Javi Armas in Fort Wayne. Madison has unbeaten in their last 4. Spokane has kind of hit the speed bump here recently, losing 4 of 5 because they were toward the top of the table. Now they're 8th. So you've got that chase group of 2 points separating 5, basically at 4 through 8. So 1 through 3 is a group right now. 4 through 8 is a group right now. And then we'll get into everybody else below the bar.
Yeah, so if I'm looking at the top of the league right now, Union Omaha, I mean, they're doing their dang thing. They've rebuilt it, but Charlotte Independents are the class of the group. And Charlotte is so good, and I'm just going to need. I think one day we're going to make USL show merch, and I think the first line is going to be, "I will not doubt Mike Jeffries." It's like I do it every single year, and it's never anything to do with Mike Jeffries. It's always like, well, I don't know about the talent on the team. They haven't signed anybody. It doesn't matter. None of it matters because Luis Alvarez is probably the best player in the league, and they make superstars. I don't know. I don't know how they keep doing it. They're so good. And then when you look beneath them, you have One Knox, and they have also just keep doing it. Again, second line, the back of the shirt is going to say, "I won't doubt Ian," or Ian
I won't doubt Mike Jeffries in the front. I won't doubt
Ian Fuller on the back. Like, I don't know why I did it. That was dumb. But they are also looking fantastic. AV Alta, I pump the brakes on them. Underlying numbers look horrific, and if you watch it, you kind of understand why. They're not creating a ton. They're not defending well. They look like a team that's going to regress. Do I think fall out of playoffs? I don't think so. But the fall out of a home playoff spot, I think so. The team that I think is going to be taking that home playoff spot is Fort Wayne.
Okay.
If we're talking best teams in the league, if we're doing power rankings, which I'm not a power rankings guy, but it's number 1 is Charlotte. Number 2 for me, it's Fort Wayne.
Oh, wow.
I think they are fantastic. What they have done when they were in League 2, they were very attack minded. That's just what their coach liked to do. He played a 4-3-3, and now they kind of moved to this 4-4-2, and it's really fun to watch. It's a good attacking team where they are getting goals. They are not trying just to sit back. They have really done a great job in using a guy like Thiago Diaz, who is one of the best center backs we have in the league right now. He is unbelievable. Tag Healy is everything that we thought he would be and more. And Bert Shipman has had a renaissance, if you will. Like, I just did not think Bert Shipman was going to be this guy for them, and he has. They are looking like a top 2 or 3 team in the league right now, and it looks so consistent. Meanwhile, pair that against Boise, where names on paper, they're a borderline championship level team. But my word, can they not defend to save their life sometimes? Like, it is. They are on the front foot all the time. They are all gas, no brakes. But unfortunately, there's also no reverse. So, like, they only go forward. And it is just, it's an interesting watch. It's a fun watch.
Yeah.
Boise is a team I wouldn't want to play in the playoffs because if they start scoring, good luck. Yeah. But if we're talking over a 34-match season, I'm not as bullish on that. I think they're going to kind of fall down a little bit more with Fort Wayne being the class of the expansions. Ford Madison has they have changed over to a 4-man back line, which has never been their calling card. They've been a 3 back or a 5 back for a long time, and it's been a very good change. I like that for them. It's shown consistency. I thought they would be a bottom 2 team in the league this year because they only had 1 returning player from the year before in Gephardt. When you're only returning 1 player, usually it takes a while for continuity to get together some chemistry, and it did. But now it looks really good. I like what I'm seeing there. Spokane, I don't know what to do with Spokane. It's weird right now because I still like what I'm seeing from them. I think that it can work. I just think they're on a bad run of form. I don't really see anything wrong tactically, personally. Portland, it's hard for me just to say no WADA, no party, but also that's kind of what it feels like. At the moment that WADA went down, it all felt like it kind of fell apart. And I don't know if that's because they needed more of a connective tissue in the middle of the pitch, because right now their 4-2-3-1 feels a little weird because the number 10 role isn't really doing what you want. So therefore, one of your holding midfielders is pushing up a little bit more than you want them to. And then while it's kind of a 4-1-4-1, it's not really defensive enough, and they're just shipping goals when they shouldn't be. I don't know. And then the team below the playoff spots to pay attention to for me, Sarasota. I think Sarasota is going to make a rush into this. I think they can, and Chattanooga has a chance to do it as well.
Yeah, they got 3 matches in hand with folks above them. We're going to catch up with Jake Griffith tomorrow morning at 10:30. The play-by-play voice of Minnesota Aurora. Championship semifinals are there. It is Asheville. It is Vermont Green. It is Aurora on the road, and they're not happy about it.
No, they are not.
From one end of the planet to the other. They're going to take on Salmon Bay. So they're in the Final Four, and obviously we'll continue covering that next week. Hit the promo for me. What's going on?
The USL show. We did it on Tuesday, where we did an interview with Mark Ward of Sarasota Paradise. The week before that, we were on the road to Leesburg, Virginia for the July 3rd match. We're going to have a video coming out in the next week or two detailing our trip, kind of some behind the scenes of our trip to Leesburg. So far, I'm in the middle of working on this one, and I'm having a ton of fun putting it together. So be on the lookout for that video coming out on the USL show YouTube.
What he said at Kaylor Hodges at the USL show. As always, my friend, great to see you. And so I guess this means from this moment forward, we're back to taping on Monday, so you can air on Tuesdays because you got to head back to school. As always, my friend, great to see you. Glad you got to have your month to enjoy everything and try to figure out where you can get a Prinks tire.
Still don't know. No clue.
Right there with you, brother. We'll see you soon.
See ya.
Kaylor Hodges from at the USL show and at Kaylor Hodges. So that's your rundown of everything USL. Like I said, it is going to be looking at the USLW semis. We're going to catch up with Jake Griffith tomorrow, and that'll be at 10:30. And then I think we're efforting Asheville City. And so I think Asheville City is going to be at the end of hour number 1. And at the end of hour number 2, it's going to be Jake Griffith. Update from the Children's Health Care of Atlanta training ground. Goals from Jay Fortune and Cooper Sanchez now give Atlanta United the lead against Sporting Kansas City. Nice move with the outside of the right foot by Cooper Sanchez. Split 5 Sporting Kansas City defenders, including the keeper. Down 1-0, now up 2-1. Cooper Sanchez and Jay Fortune goals for Atlanta United in their friendly. Quick note, according to our friends at The Athletic, Christian Pulisic suffered a leg microfracture in the USMNT loss to Belgium. This is from James Horncastle, Henry Bushnell, and Paul Tenorio as of about 6 minutes ago. Bone bruise and a microfracture in his leg during the loss to Belgium, sidelined for several weeks, but not months. Multiple people briefed on the diagnosis told The Athletic. And that was the injury that we saw. We can kind of date it back to the 52nd minute where he tried to take a swing at the top of the box and made contact with a player from Belgium, and it was with his leg. And when you're on a follow-through and you make contact with a leg and not ball, then now we apparently have the answer. So it is a microfracture in the left and the right leg and a bone bruise for Christian Pulisic. So that's the rundown there. All right. Hot tag. We go from suburban Birmingham, Alabama to we've gone from Denton, Texas, basically suburbs of Dallas, to the suburbs of Birmingham, to the suburbs. Well, actually, he's not even in the suburbs. He's hot right in the middle of the city because he's got to play pickup and he's got to hit all of his bakeries. So our buddy Nino Torres, Nino the baker, Nino the goal scorer, Nino Damas dropping by. As always, my friend, great to see you. Yellow.
Bueno. Yellow. Soccer down here, fans. We are in the Elite 8. We are in the Elite 8. We came down only to 8 teams surviving this brutal competition and glorious competition. And this is a good time, I think, to before we go into anything, all the topics, you need to listen to this first to everyone out there.
Okay. Okay. That's more than 7 seconds. I don't want to get us dinged for music licensing, sir. Yes, you and Aretha, absolutely true. Yes.
Yeah, but it's the message, right? No, it's the message to send to everyone in the planet and in the other planets too, that you gotta respect the king, the absolute king of the sport, the absolute goat in the sport, and it's just that you just got to show your respect to this guy, man, because he showed respect to us, he showed respect to the game, he showed respect to the entire planet after that magical performance, man.
Yeah. Jason, Maddie, and I were inside Atlanta Stadium.
Oh yes.
And
I forgot to text you, man. Honestly, I forgot about it.
we were in the building, and to have a building of 68,239 people, and you probably had like 10,000 fans of Egypt there. So major props to them and to everybody who has made their way to the World Cup venues. But the second the gates open and the doors open to let folks inside the second perimeter, and they're going inside Atlanta Stadium, it literally was "I'll Be Celeste Blue," and they were singing, and it was a party, and they did not stop. They were down a goal, and because of the spindle and the roof being closed, you're hearing about 55,000 fans of Argentina singing all of their songs for an entire game. And literally it's to the point where you're sitting there and you're wondering about the press box. You are wondering about the press box and the status of the building. It was one of the coolest environments that I've ever been in, knowing how important the game it was, going in and hearing all of the fans from Argentina and all of the fans from Egypt showing support. I mean, look, when they did the anthems, there was not singing of anthems. It was yelling anthems. It was, you weren't worried about hitting notes. You were singing, you were shouting your anthem. And then Egypt goes down early and the Argentina fans sing louder. And you're going, man, it's gone from here. It went from here to an 11. And then it was that way when it was 2-0. And then it was 1B. Well, then it was 1B. Then it was 2-0. Then 75th minute. And everything is starting to happen. And you're just sitting there going, man. And it was truly a match that I will never forget. And God knows Jason, considering how much of an Argentina person he is.
Yeah,
see him going through all of this. Maddie was to the left of him. I was to the right of him. And we're sitting there. And I mean, my stomach was upside down. God knows what his stomach was like. To have that kind of that moment, that series of moments in the stadium, to have that happen in front. And I will, I don't know if you've been on our socials, but our resident. So Sophia Cupertino with all the shots.
Sophia, great. She's great.
Sophia was crushing it. And so to be in the building for that, you have the close call with Cabo Verde. Then you have the close call with Egypt. And your topic number one is the one reason why Argentina will repeat.
Yes, this reason actually has nothing to do with the performances, the most recent performances. Nothing to do with the fact that they are in the Elite Eight for since 1986.
Okay,
Argentina only missed the quarterfinals 3 times. Only 3 times. 94, 2010, and what was the other one? 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Only 3 times they failed to qualify to the Elite. It's just not about that. It's about this video footage that I saw. Probably you saw it too, guys. But they have a chant for this cup. You heard it? No. You heard the chant?
Probably, but go ahead and tell everybody who didn't.
So So in the previous World Cup, they have this muchachos. They got another chant, right?
Yep.
But for this one, they created one specific one for this cup, and in the lyrics, there is this phrase, these lines. It says, "We'll get the cup that was denied and stole to Diego in '94."
Wow.
So that line right there, it's just that no other team has that motivation. No other team has that motivation. No one. No France, no Morocco, not England, nobody. Nobody has that. And when you have that kind of X factor, and of course you have the king, and of course you have the massive coach that you have, and of course you have on top of that the Julian Alvarez is returning to his level, Enzo Fernandez is raising up the bar, El Dibu Martinez, Paredes is healthy, and the pieces are lining up for you. On top, and on top of that, you got that extra motivation that no other team has. No other team has. And of course, on those lines too, in that chant, they have also referred to the Falkland Islands and the what's the other thing? The last one for Leo. So you can be more Argentine like that than this. You just can be. Okay, and that's the reason. All right, that's my reason. So guys, you're watching this, record this. Johnny, save this because we're gonna play this video. We're gonna play these words once Argentina crowns again and matches Brazil 58 and 62 as the only two teams. Well, the only three teams actually, and repeat the title. It was Italy first, 34-38, and Brazil 58-62, and now it will be Argentina 22 and 26. That's my take on this.
I mean, brother, I said from the absolute beginning that I wanted the fairy tale, and I wanted to make sure. I thought that Leo at 39. I want to make sure that he gets the back-to-back. I am, and I'm stalling here for a second because I want to find one particular photograph from our Sophia.
Oh yeah, she's great, man. Just tell her she's doing a fantastic job, man.
Here it is. Here's the photo from Sophia, and this is in our folders. So I'm going to open this in a new tab so we don't see. Well, I don't want people to see that. I don't want people to look into my Google Drive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, all right. So here, I'm going to download the photo. And when we were piecing together our post-game report, so it'll be in the download folder. So hang on. So we were piecing together the everything that was going on with the post-game report. I'm going to show you a photograph that was the microcosm of the comeback, and she got it cold, and we looked at it and literally were like, oh my God, you got that photo. So here, let me share the screen, is that photo of, where is it? Yeah, here it is. I think. No, is that it? No, it's in here somewhere. Hang on just a second. This is annoying me now that I can't find it.
Yeah, no, it's all right.
It's like I've got it, but I don't, like I said, I don't want people to sit here and see the Google Drive and everything. So it's separate, but it is the moment that Paredes stepped in and got
that
right there.
Oh my God, that is just that, man. That picture is worth a lot of money.
Yeah, and
Sophia, that she's gonna make a lot of money with that picture.
Well, and I mean that photo with the whole, just seriously, that started the break of the last goal right there.
It's just insane. How did he man? I mean, the position. There's one prior to that save. I mean, it's because that's what it is. It's a save. It's not a tackle. It's a save.
Yeah.
It's just marvelous the way that and I've seen Virgil van Dijk doing this when he's in numerical disadvantage, 1v2, 1v3. It was 1v3. It was Paredes versus the 3 players from Egypt coming at him, and he was just backing up, timing the perfect moment. And then when he stopped. I mean, it's just the timing was perfect. The timing was perfect. This should be shown to kids that want to be defenders, even though Torres technically is not a defender, but he was the last man standing in there in that play. And the most important thing is to back up and time your manners and time the moment that you're gonna decide to tackle. You just cannot go at it. You just gotta back up, and wait for the perfect moment, and then you bite. And that's how it's done. And I've seen Virgil van Dijk mastering this move when he's in numerical disadvantage when playing for Liverpool, when playing for the national team of Holland. Okay, I'm not saying the Netherlands. I'm not saying Netherlands. Holland.
Yes. But yeah, when we were piece and post game together, and Sophia's like, "Hey, I think I've got this photo that I want you guys to look at," and we're like, holy ish, you got that moment.
It's
because Paredes was the Lone Ranger back there. He was 1v3, and the problem with Egypt's attackers was that they were too close. They were all within less than 5 yards of each other, either side. And so Paredes, it was an easy decision for him to just step in and make the stop because the 3 attackers were that close to each other. And so Paredes goes to the one in the middle with the ball, pushes it forward, and that starts to break the other way to get goal number 3. We looked at that and we're like, oh my God. And yeah, we lost our minds when we saw that she had that shot.
Yeah, her pictures out, and do they have watermarks?
Oh yeah, yes, sir, they do. They certainly do.
Thinking of that right away.
Yeah, because, yes, early on in the career of Sofia Cupertino, when we saw that when she was money, we're like, our resident European anchor, Niko, he's like, no, you watermark that ish right now.
Yes, you do, because that picture works. It's just, it is epic. It is wow.
Yeah,
because the moment, like the timing is everything for Paredes. The timing is everything also for photographers. And I got a buddy of mine actually who's he's Egyptian. And we cover many games for the crew in Columbus, and he was there in Atlanta covering this for his national team for Egypt. It was just fantastic, man. Fantastic.
Yep. Now to topic number 2 after 13 minutes. England to the semis, but not without an epic battle.
They also have this motivation, right? But it's a different kind of motivation for England. It's a different story. It's more like a romantic way of winning this cup, and the chant that they have, it's coming home, it's coming home, and this wonder wall has been just superb throughout the entire cup, and it's crazy. It's just crazy how Tuchel is not liked. There's because he's German. He's German. He's not English. I mean,
you're not one of us. Therefore,
you're not, right. But he took the decisions, right? Not bringing the Alexander-Arnold, not bringing Palmer. So there were tough decisions that he made. And it's paying off. It's paying off for him. And of course, this is going to be massive because this is going to be reuniting on different sides of the pitch, of course. Jude Bellingham on one side and Erling Haaland on the other side. I was just watching the videos of both playing together in Dortmund. And it's just going to be a massive battle. But I think England has the edge over Norway when it comes to superstars.
Yeah.
Because in Norway, I know everybody loves Odegaard, but Harry Kane and Jude, they are above Haaland and Odegaard. It is in terms of superstar power. And this has been, if anybody has any doubt that this has been the superstar power World Cup? No. So when it comes down to that, it's because it's going to come down to that single point, that single moment where who is going to set up, who's going to be stronger, who's going to be more powerful, and he's going to show the other one that I have the kryptonite, that you don't have the kryptonite.
Yep.
You know, it's about that. It's about superpowers.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about that, and that it's just going to be a couple of ounces above Norway. Not a lot, just a couple, but it's going to be enough for the three Lions to advance into the next round, into their next semifinal in the last three cups. Not bad for England.
Yep. Topic 3, Les Bleus will prevail over Morocco. I feel like I have to say it like that. Les Bleus.
Les Bleus. Les Bleus. The scariest team in the competition.
Woo. Woo.
The scariest team in the competition.
I'm glad you think about Morocco that way. Yes.
No. I'm talking about France. They have this is the team that has performed better than anyone else. Better. We're strictly talking about. You notice that I'm not talking about the motivation or the time. No. So if you come down to these 11 men on the pitch, no one has a better 11 than France out of these 8 teams that remain in the competition. Nobody have the variety, they don't have the options, nobody has the speed of those transitions. Nobody has that. Nobody. All right. And but like I said before, there's only a few times in the history of the cup where the best team won the competition. This because this is not about not always about who's the best team. This is about who makes the right decisions, who handles the pressure, who manage the timing, who manage the injuries, who manage everything. All the components that have to be lined up for a national team to win this championship in 1 month. And that's about it. But if you ask me right now, I think France, if the cup will finish today, France will be the champion today.
Okay.
Today.
All
okay.
Right.
But it's gonna be so. I think this is gonna be the most level game out of the 4 games. This is gonna be the most level.
Okay.
The field is gonna be the most level out of these all 4 matches, because the way that Morocco defends. All right, the way the organization, the defensive organization of Morocco, it's elite. It's elite. They don't show flaws. They don't give you an inch. They're like an accordion. It's just absolutely beautiful how Morocco retrieves and then they attack you. It's just absolutely wonderful to watch. Wonderful soccer to watch for Morocco. But again, star power. Star power.
Well, and also
power is just unmatched on this game.
And it's also accordions don't make the best sounds when they do this. When you compress and when you expand, it's not the most pleasant noise. And I'm sure that drives a lot of folks nuts when they see that Moroccan defense, and it's and it compresses and it expands the way that it does. And it's that rhythm and hitting those notes that causes problems for everybody else. But I just think that there's legitimately too much firepower for Morocco.
It's
just ridiculous. But at the same time, 2 things. I think that once again, you see Morocco and you see Cabo Verde and you see what the African continent has been able to do. Getting 9 of 10 into the knockouts. And then there's Tunisia, it's to say they're a dumpster fire is insulting to dumpsters. I mean, Hervé Renard left after 18 days. He's just like, nah, fam, I'm out. And, but I think if you look at what Paraguay did against France.
Yeah, but Morocco's not going to be like that. Morocco's not going to be because.
I think that, but to that point, I think that if you find ways to frustrate France, if you slow them down, if you find ways to get them angry, you get them to run a little hot, I think that might be the key to unlocking success against France. if you foul them, if you slow them down, if you make it start and stop, and if you frustrate them, I think that could contribute to success if you're going up against a France as we go along here in the tournament.
Yeah, good luck on that, because when the last time I saw the Paraguay doing that to France, they were smiling. They were smiling. They were smiling, brother. And like, oh yeah, you're gonna go after me? Okay, you're gonna kick me? You're gonna punch me? You're gonna insult me? And Mbappe and a bunch of those guys, they speak Spanish, so I can't imagine all the trash talk on those trenches. Woo, baby, will be off the charts, and they kept their cool.
Mm-hmm.
They kept their cool, which is not easy to do. It's not easy to do, to stay focused for 90, for 120 minutes. It's not easy to do. And France proved that they are championship caliber team. No way. There's no doubt about that. No doubt.
Topic 4, La Furia Roja. We'll keep raising the bar.
I said that out of that series was going to be the champion when I saw that Spain versus Portugal, because I really wanted Portugal to go all the way. It was just I really wanted it. I mean, but they disappoint me. They disappoint everybody. Man, it's just crazy, because it's Roberto Martinez's fault. I gotta tell you this. I mean, because you gotta, if one piece is not working out, just switch it, brother. Switch the pieces, man. Or and then putting Vitinha so close to their goal instead of the opponent's goalie. Anyway, let's leave Portugal. You're long gone. We're talking about Spain now. The best, if France has the best attack in the competition, Spain has the best midfield in the competition. The most quality midfield in the competition, with Fabian, with Dani Olmo, with Pedri, it's just the way that these guys, but the what they did, and it actually worked out for Spain, is like the speed up the process. They speed up the process. They brought the dynamics into the tiki-taka that still is leaving traces on Spain. They want to go an extra, what is it, like 1,000 touches per game or something. Yeah, no, I don't want 1,000 touches, man.
No,
I don't want 1,000 touches. Give me, I don't know, give me 450. 450, we're good. All right. And it's just, and it's still, Lamine Yamal is not playing at his best yet. I'm waiting on it. But I think it's going to happen. It's going to happen on this matchup.
there he
look
is.
at that guy.
There
Look at that.
Got this. The mother-in-law got me the box of 50 to start it, and so of course I got halfway through the box, and I get a lot of African nation commons, and then all of a sudden this one pops in there. Lamine Yamal, he popped in there, and you know what? Same pack. Strangely enough, look at that. Same pack. 2 of the 7 were those 2 in that package.
And the same pack? No way. No way. That's insane. And by the way, I'm so happy because in my fantasy competition, I just purchased Leo Messi. I beat all the other bidders, and I came out with a price tag of 130 mil. I paid for Messi. I think I'm in the negative now in terms of money, but who cares, man? I got Messi.
If you win the cup, then I believe the investment will be worth it. I mean, you might be in trouble with your fantasy FFP, but I think you'll be okay.
You know, and I know we're talking about Spain. I know I'm saying that Spain is gonna advance, but I gotta just give you a couple of seconds here for Leandro Trossard in Belgium. I think he's probably the most underrated player in the competition. He's the most overlooked player in the competition. Nobody's talking about Trossard, but he is having a massive World Cup for Belgium. And 2 goals, 2 assists, playing 7.5 and above. What you got? Oh, nice.
You got the refractor Argentina team logo. So,
the badge. Oh my. So that's I just wanted to say that about Trossard. He's
And
it's gonna be trouble.
and
It's gonna be trouble for you.
heading to Turkey. That was the wild transaction there.
Oh my God.
I know, I mean that's a steal. And then outside the notes, your last topic, you go, and of course the debate is over! Exclamation point. Yes, I'm talking to you, CR7. I had to do that.
I'm
while
sorry.
You had.
I'm so sorry, Cristiano. There's just no debate anymore. Anymore. I mean, I know I said there are two kings, but there's a. Sorry, I was going to say something incorrect.
It's a king and a prince, is what you're looking at. It's a king and a prince.
King and a prince. It's going to be a king and two princes because I got Neymar considered as the third one. No doubt. I mean, there's just no doubt. When you see Titi Henry, when you see Zlatan, when you see all the great ones talking about Leo Messi, the way they talk, that they see him up there. They talk about Leo Messi like they're here on earth and he's way up there. And that's why for me, these are the opinions that matter to me. I don't. I mean, of course, the internet is blowing up about Infantino, Messi, their lovers, and all the nonsense. It's just nonsense. I don't get the hate. I just don't get the hate that Messi had. I don't get it, brother. I don't get it. No, because he's a cheater. Like a cheater. What are you talking about? Anyway, so he's the absolute king. I'm just gonna kneel.
Yes. Yeah.
And
there you go.
And that's it.
Ball game.
That's it. Game over. Game over.
Absolutely. All right. So we got to figure out this shipping thing, don't we?
Yes, we got to figure out the shipping. I've been making phone calls to nobody in New York. Do you have anybody in New York? If you have somebody in New York,
have anybody? Well, I don't know. Is it to a New York airport or is it to Newark? I mean, that's the thing. We got to figure that out. But keep me posted on your airports, and we'll try and figure something out. I think I've got somebody, but they're like in the mountains, and it'd be like a 2.5 hour drive for them to get to whatever airport. Yeah, because I mean they live in the forest and it's cool and they don't have to worry about everything downtown or anything like that. Keep me posted, please, because
I'll keep you posted about the airport.
Yes,
I'm gonna keep you posted. Matter of fact, right now after we're hanging up here, I'll send it to you.
Got it. Love you very much. It's great to see you. Continue baking. Nino the Baker on the IG, the Gram, and the Insta. And you get to see pickup games. You get to see the Tres Leches, and you get to see us all gain 10 pounds by just everything that you shoot. Love you very much, and we will catch up with you again. Whenever you want to crash, because you know you've got golden ticket status, and you crashed the party whenever you had the chance to. You know that.
I'll probably crash tomorrow, probably most likely after today.
Yes. Let's see. So then tomorrow. What are we doing tomorrow? Tomorrow is 11 o'clock. You'd be the caboose if you want to crash after what happens and want to talk about things, right?
All right, man.
All right. There he goes, Nino Torres. He's checking. Oh God. Oh, this is getting to me. He's checking on planes. We're getting there, man. We're getting there. We got to check on planes.
If you just let me know the pickup on New York. I got the cake going to New York.
Just we got to figure out what airport. And then we got to figure out how to get it out of that whichever airport you're going to, and then we got to figure out how to get it south. So we'll figure it out. So when you know your flight plans with your friends, let me know. We'll figure it out, and we can't wait because it's a big honking deal that we can do this. So love you very much, and we'll catch up with you when you crash the party.
All right, man. See ya.
All right, there you go. There goes Nino Torres. So we have gone this morning from suburban Dallas, Texas, to suburban Birmingham, Alabama, to Lima, Peru. And in a little bit, our buddy Niko Moreno is going to be joining us from Pulso Sports and Sounder at Heart from Seattle, Washington. Sporting Kansas City has equalized early second half. It is now 2-2, and they are in the 20th minute of the second half. I think it's 2:40s that they're playing today in the welcome back. So that is on the Atlanta United YouTube channel, the Friendly with Sporting Kansas City. and Atlanta United. For Atlanta United, it has been goals by Jay Fortune and Cooper Sanchez, and they're playing over on the far field because of the World Cup still going on and that primary field still being needed for possibly World Cup activity leading into the semifinals. So that's why that field is being left alone, the main field, the amphitheater. And so I think they're on field 3. And so Mike and Jason on the call, Maddie's there, and goals by Cooper Sanchez and Jay Fortune have us where we are as they are getting into the second. Basically, they are now in the 3/4 time. And that is what we're looking at there. News from U.S. Soccer. Steve Cherundolo has been named the head coach of the U.S. U23s ahead of the 2028 Summer Olympics. And let's see. So it's a quote from Dan Helfrich, who led the coaching search, the chief operating officer of the U.S. Soccer Federation. Quote, the 2028 Olympics present a critical platform to develop our next generation of players and further engage our passionate fan base as we pursue an Olympic medal at home. Steve's leadership will be instrumental in building an Olympic team that proudly represents U.S. soccer, and he will work closely with both our senior and youth national teams, national coaches, in growing the game together, end quote. Responsibility as the new head coach will be to build a highly competitive roster for the LA 2028 Summer Olympics, leading identification camps where he will select and help the Arthur M. Blank U.S. Soccer National Training Center in Fayetteville, Georgia. That's where they will train and participate in international friendlies ahead of the summer games. And then a quote from Steve Cherundolo about him being honored to have that particular position. So that's your breaking news. So representing the United States at the Olympic Games is one of the greatest honors in sports. I'm grateful for the opportunity to lead this team. Believe we have an exciting group of players with tremendous potential, and I'm looking forward to building an environment where they can challenge themselves, grow together, and represent our country with pride. Responsibility is to compete with courage, humility, and a clear identity, one that reflects the values of U.S. soccer and gives our supporters a team they can be proud of. So Guchinyewu quoted as well on the appointment of Cherundolo. We've had a bit of a coming together of players in the middle of the park involving Sporting Kansas City and Atlanta United, and they had to be separated. So they're still going at it together here. 23rd minute, second half, and you have folks that are Sporting Kansas City and Atlanta United seem to have tripped a switch. So two groups, Jay Fortune trying to be a peacemaker. You got a headlock, and you have folks that are, man, this is a serious coming together. If I'd had audio, I would have ducked in here. Lucas Hoyos being pulled away from the group by Alexei Miranchuk. So, yeah, there's some coming togethers. And it's a friendly that is no longer friendly. So 23rd, 24th minute, second half. And it is tied at 2. And it looks like it's just going to be a foul, not a drop ball, but a foul situation. And trying to figure out who's got possession. And you have the center ref who is trying to break everything down to the two captains. Looks like Cooper's wearing the captain's armband here. So Cooper got a yellow. And it also looks like, is that Amin Bassi? So you have, all right, so Basong gets a yellow and Cooper Sanchez gets a yellow. I'm guessing those are more for the collective than anything else. So second yellow for Atlanta United. And I think that literally right now you're just having a referee just show cards to show cards. So I'm keeping an eye on what's going on. So Zorhan Basong got a yellow, and Cooper Sanchez got a yellow as a part of the coming together. And so now 25th minute, second half, it is Sporting Kansas City attacking from left to right as you picture the match in your mind's eye. Shot is wide, And so don't know if things are going to continue to calm down or not. But yeah, so Zorhan Bassan got a yellow. Another Sporting player got a yellow. I'm guessing that Lucas Hoyos might have gotten a yellow in all of this. But, yeah, plenty of yellows to go around as Sporting Kansas City and Atlanta United tied second half at 2. So that is that's the early rundown of everything over at the Children's Healthcare Atlanta training ground. David, on the road for 12 days, didn't keep up with Atlanta United. Heard a few loans departures happened. Okay, so the only one officially, David, is Sabalob Janidze to RSL. Right now, that is the only one that is officially official. And that is to RSL. Atlanta's still paying a bit of his salary charge, but they've got they got a lot of allocation money to come back. But RSL had to do some finagling when it comes to an international slot. And right now, the only one that is concrete is Saba to RSL. And it's basically a loan for RSL because he's out of contract at the end of this year. So we'll see. But that there are names being bandied about, especially experienced center backs and such that would be coming in. Nothing's official yet. I believe Monday is the beginning of the secondary transfer window, so you may see a flurry of activity then across the board. But the only official one is Saba out to RSL. Barakal's loan was not renewed. Galarza's loan was not renewed. And it looks like Real Betis is now interested in Matias Galarza. So technically, what we knew of Galarza and Barakal, they're back to their parent clubs. Galarza is probably on his way to Real Betis. Saba is out to RSL. So that's the official stuff. Okay, it is the final half hour of the show. And I say that because it is, you know me, I go long. And I got a friendly off to my left. I got a friendly I'm bringing in here to talk about stuff. It's time to go to Seattle and catch up with our friend Niko Moreno. What is up, sir?
What's going on? My man John, SDH family. We are back on a Thursday after a nice break. You know, we got a 1-day break of just maybe getting things done that we haven't got done throughout the week. No games yesterday, and then today we start all over again with Morocco, France. But yeah, man, lots to talk about. Some pains and aches. I will not shy away from that. I'm a little depressed, but you know, we're getting by.
Yes. So word came out this morning about Christian Pulisic, and apparently it was a microfracture and a bone bruise. And we are under the assumption that it happened on the big swing that he took in the 52nd minute of the loss, where when you take a big swing and you make contact with somebody else's bone that is locked in place, and you're taking a big swing and you make a collision, then you're going to come out worse for wear. Christian Pulisic is reported by The Athletic this morning. Bone bruise, microfracture, out for weeks and not months or a substantial period of time. I have had those microfractures on the instep, and this is probably too much information for everybody. I was playing golf in college, and I had my feet up on the golf cart. You know, golf cart doesn't have like windows or anything. And so this one didn't have a pop-up, a fold-over fiberglass window. So I had my feet on where the window traditionally would be on a golf cart. My playing partner was a hothead, and we were on like the first hole, and he hits a shot into the woods. And I'm driving the golf cart, you know, farting around. He hits his second shot. It goes further into the woods. He takes his club, and it's a 7-iron, and he hits a tree with it. The club separates at the hosel, and the iron part of the club hits my left instep at a high rate of speed. And literally, you could tell that that my instep had fractured at that point. You could tell.
That's wild.
Instead of it being like that, it goes like this. You could tell that it was fractured, and it grew over each other. But I mean, it took like a month to 6 weeks for me to recover that. But I know what that's like to have that instep smashed like that. That is not fun. But at least now we know that what happened apparently to Christian Pulisic in the loss there in Seattle.
Yeah, look, I think it provides great context because although I think that it's fair, extremely fair, to criticize Christian Pulisic for a poor performance even before that injury.
Yeah.
A World Cup in which he never put his mark on a particular win. I thought that he had moments, without a doubt. I think that he showed you small images of what he could do at his very best. I think that regardless of not being
I'm guessing somebody tried to call, and I don't know what happened. Okay, so let me do that, because I don't know. It's like he absolutely just froze, and that was crazy. That you had that happen. I don't know what happened. My guess is somebody tried to call him, or maybe the Christian Pulisic police or the Christian Pulisic police were there, or a battery died or something like that. But yeah, Niko was in the process of discussing Christian Pulisic and understanding what the issues were with Christian Pulisic. So we'll see what happens with that there. So Niko is going to be joining us from whatever malady happened, but my guess is somebody didn't want him to say what he was about to say involving U.S. soccer. It looks like it's the end of the second period. So 2 of the 3 30s are completed. I think they're going to play a second 30 or a third 30, and it will be 2-2 after the first 2 periods, and they're going to play a third period. And so we'll see what happens with Atlanta United and Sporting Kansas City. So 2-1 after the first period, 2-2 after the second period, and they're heading to the third period, I think, because they're in a commercial break right now. So we'll find out what the latest is, and all of that. But we are waiting for the replug in for Niko Moreno. We'll find out what happened. Like I said, my guess is that somebody tried to, Niko was saying something, and they did not appreciate his tone. So some higher power was like, nope, battery. So it's like all of a sudden signal. But anyway, your point on Christian Pulisic, sir.
Yeah. So all in all, I think there's been some very understandable discourse about Christian Pulisic, the soccer player, that has also gone into Pulisic, the person. And I don't know if the whole you being soft is necessarily what we should be focusing on, because look, at the end of the day, Christian Pulisic is not your red bone, just the blood is boiling type of soccer player or leader on the field. He's never been that. And the one thing, he is extremely talented, and the fact that he hasn't been able to put that and materialize that on the field with this U.S. national team, that's for criticism. But look, all of the land that Donovan takes about how he would have been in the field and they would have to have dragged them out. Like it's very hard for me to get behind anyone that is saying, if I was there, I would have done better. Or if I was there, I would have been stronger. I mean, those sort of commentary, that sort of narrative, it's not just ridiculous, to be quite frank, because you can't put yourself in that moment, in that time. You don't know the pain, you don't know what's going on, but it goes nowhere. I mean, it is completely unconsequential for you to put that out there. I just don't get it. So obviously, right after the game, Pulisic says that he, like, I don't know, sprained his ankle, right? So it sounds like it wasn't a big deal. But now that you're seeing it, and even then, like, look, if you are someone who thinks that Pulisic would have just thrown in the towel and just said, look, I got a bit of a bump, I'm going to come off the field, you're crazy, because he wanted to, at some point, do something else for this team. Him being in that field and try to get a goal and try to rally the team back, that would have been something that he needed to do to rescue what has been a very inconsistent World Cup for him. So now that we know what it is, I totally understand why he came off, why he did try to get back on the field. I was there. I was watching that he was attempting to try to get back into this game, and he wasn't able to do it. So I'm glad to now hear and see exactly what happened.
Yeah, and with you being in the building, and now we've all had time to think about it. You are now at a point where you are as a national team. You're 10, 11, 12. So you were 11 going in. So the fact that you made it into the round of 16 and could win or lose to get into the top 8 or the top 8 of the discussion. You're about where you are. But I think that with the men's national team being where it is right now, you're seeing differences from teams that you've had in the past under Mauricio Pochettino, because you now have a group that wants to be on the front foot. You now have a group that wants to have counter pressure to regain the ball the second you lose it. It's characteristics that we haven't seen with coaches past. And now it's up to U.S. Soccer and to Mauricio Pochettino to sit there, and we know there's interest. But what does Mauricio want to do now? And that's the thing. It's like somebody's going to find a Brinks truck. Trust me. If Mauricio's interested in staying, and if he's interested, you find a way to keep him. Get him land attached to the National Training Center. Give him a plot of land where he can have a farm or do whatever. You find the car, find the property, find the house on the big side of town. You got to do what you got to do. If he wants to stay, you find a way to make him stay, so he gets a full cycle of what he tried to implement with this group that finished in the round of 16.
Yes, look, I understand, and I was very critical of the performance and the way this team was eliminated, because I knew that it was going to feel like a regression on everything that you were able to establish, right?
Mm-hmm.
The first things I said after the game in the post-game commentary was, we just saw an unrecognizable version of a U.S. national team that started off this World Cup displaying some of the best soccer we've seen out of this golden generation. Maybe it was the perfect storm of a bad performance, a whole lot of distractions regarding the Florian Balogun situation, and maybe some extra motivation for a Belgium team that had looked disjointed, had looked passive as well in previous games, that had a hard time getting started from the very beginning. So maybe it was the perfect storm for a result like this one, a 4-1 loss. However, when it comes to whether this World Cup was successful or not, I know it's barely there, because it feels pretty difficult to say it was a success when you go out the way you did, when you get out hustled, out-dueled, and outplayed out of your own stadium. But I think that some objectives were achieved, and you touched on them, right? You were a team that was now entertaining, and you made people believe, and you scored the most goals you ever have, and you won the group stage. You did some things that were positives. And in my opinion, a lot of it has to do with Mauricio Pochettino. And as someone that really believes that creating a identity and respecting a coach's tenure will eventually result in a better team, a real understanding of a class of players, because he already has the trust of certain players. He already knows what he's looking for. There could be additional scouting. I also believe that if Mauricio Pochettino wants to stay, you keep him. And you don't allow this one result to dictate going on another search for a head coach. I've heard BJ Callahan, I've heard Wilfred Nancy, and look, no disrespect to any of those guys or going out there and looking for a new coach, but you start all over again. And I understand that you have another 4 years, and those 4 years is what you should be focusing on. But there's also the possibility or the eventuality that it doesn't work, and all of a sudden you let go of another guy and you have to restart again. So why not keep what's worked so far and see what happens, and see how it fluctuates in the next 4 years. I just think that's the best way to go.
Yeah, and you know that there's going to be player turnover because of age and such. You know, there are going to be a couple of names that won't be attached. And so Steve Cherundolo was named the head coach of the U23s that's going to be prepping for the Olympics. So you'll be able to get some intel there. Jesse Marsh is doing the same thing with the U20s, I believe, up in Canada. I think he's hanging out with them to try to orient that group and get some continuity of, okay, what's the next wave going to be looking like? Who am I going to be keeping an eye on as Canada continues to grow and evolve? So I think that when it comes to the men's national team, I much rather enjoy seeing fans who are engaged and disappointed than a fan that's just kind of like, it happened again. The fact that you had so many people around a nation believing in a team, I think to the level that we saw it in this World Cup, yes, it was a home game and I get it, but it was interesting to see them at that level of excitement, to see that fever that you got to see firsthand out there on the West Coast. I would much rather have that and have fans engaged and anticipating what's going to happen next, instead of sitting there going, yeah, okay, we made it in the round of 16. We got bounced again. So no real surprises. You either want to be a part of a discussion if you're very good or very bad. You don't want to be just there. And with the U.S., there's promise to get to that next level. But it's key, I think, to keep Mauricio Pochettino or find someone that is Pochettino adjacent that can help. If he wants to go find the big gig in the sky, I get it. I think they're all taken this go around. But if you're looking for somebody, if for whatever reason he doesn't want to stay, then basically I would have him on the search committee and find someone who's Pochettino adjacent that can take what he built and was building with his staff and work forward with that idea. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I think that you were spot on. And I second everything that you just said, because I just don't know if, no disrespect to BJ Callahan, he's done a phenomenal job with Nashville, and he had good 6-7 months at one point as an interim head coach with the U.S. national team, and he has some guys' respects, but I don't know. I mean, he's pretty close to what everybody hated at one point in Greg Berhalter. I mean, you know, he's out of that coaching tree, so it just seems odd to me. And again, I like BJ, and I hope that he continues to do well in Nashville, and maybe at some point he is the guy. I just don't think right now is the time. And I think that everything that you said that really engages people has to do with Mauricio Pochettino being this personality, this guy that has some very interesting quotes, that has some aura to him, because he has that global aura where people knows who he is, and he has an ability to recruit guys out there that, you know, we're all talking about Banks and other players that you're potentially going to have to go out there and try to get. I think he has all of that. So why get rid of it? I don't see a reason to. So yes, if it's not Pochettino because he has a better offer from AC Milan or whatever it may be, then go ahead. But do go out there and get somebody that has at least some tendencies close to what Mauricio Pochettino has provided you.
Yep, give me somebody that understands the garra, and we'll be chasing after that going forward. We're down to the final 8, and I was talking with Nino Torres in the block before about Leo Messi, and the three of us being me, Maddie, and Jason being in the building to see what we've seen. They've had close calls with Cabo Verde. They had to come from behind against Egypt. And now they're going up against a team in Switzerland that really is not going to set the world on fire, but that's their way to do it. It's like, all right, so we're going to slow it down. We're going to have opportunities in transition. We're not going to, it's like, if you want the ball cool, you're not going to break our hearts or anything. I think that if Colombia had made it through, it might have been an easier view for Argentina because they've been through them with CONMEBOL. When you look at that matchup, when you look at the final 8, what sticks out in your head?
So let's start with this one. I think that, look, Cabo Verde may be surprised Argentina, I think that they were probably really underestimating their opponent, and with a lot of heart, a lot of effort, they were able to essentially make that team bleed and really put them through the binder. And
It was
and they
it
were
was Rocky Four, man. It was like he's cut.
It
He's
was.
cut.
That's right. He's only a man. Yeah, absolutely. And then I think Egypt, I thought that they were just a better team, obviously. I mean, they were so good at transition play that they exposed Argentina
Uh-huh.
in that regard. I mean, it was just speed. It was we're picking up a ball on the far end. We're going to make a quick switch the point of attack. It's 3 passes, and it's Mo Salah, and all of a sudden Zico's coming on the other side, and it's a goal. And I think that Argentina was fortunate that VAR disallowed a goal that, yes, I mean, it was a little soft, but it happened.
And that's the thing. It's like, that's what we have to remind folks, is that it doesn't matter where it happened in the play or where it happened on the field. If it happened all the way back, that started the buildup, that started the transition, that started the goal, and you go all the way back to the beginning, you had the shirt pull, and if that was how it was judged, that was how it was judged. But just because it happened all the way back here doesn't mean it's any less important than if it happened in the attacking, like literally in the attacking third.
Totally. So, but I think that Egypt was a very good matchup, and they were really able to expose certain things from Argentina. I just don't see Switzerland doing it, especially without Johan Matsambi, who I don't know if he's going to be available or not. He wasn't available against Colombia. He's one of the really explosive guys that gives them a lot of speed, whether it's out in the flanks or in the inside channels. I think that they are a little bit too seasoned to really keep up toe-to-toe with Argentina. They're going to do what they did to Colombia, which is just kind of muddy the waters. Oh, look at that. There you go. Excellent. And although Argentina has played Colombia before, I do think that Colombia would have come inspired. I mean, it would have been a rematch of the Copa America final that Colombia lost. I think there would have been some extra motivation, extra pride from Colombia. And they have the weapons, although, look, Luis Diaz has been a shell of what he has been with Bayern Munich, and James Rodriguez doesn't look very dynamic, and there's just a lot of issues. But look, Colombia had every chance to win that game against Switzerland. I mean, I don't know how Campas misses that goal. And I mean, in front of goal, when you pick up the ball, you have, the entirety of the one side to put it away, and you just missed that opportunity. And that was Colombia's Achilles heel, was just their inability to really put the ball away. We no longer have a Radamel Falcao. We no longer have those guys that are just going to put the ball in the back of the net. Even a guy like Baca back in the day, where he wasn't incredible, but when he came to just putting the ball in the back of the net, he would. Teófilo Gutierrez, they don't have that guy anymore, and that's why I think they allowed Switzerland to win this game in a very uninspiring fashion. But I don't think that Switzerland has what it takes to get even close to pushing Argentina. I actually think this is going to be a very easy game for Argentina, to be frank.
Yep. I'm looking at that one. You've got the one later today, and for me, France, I had Argentina and France in the final. France, I think, should take care of Morocco fairly easily. You've got Spain and Belgium. Belgium, you sit there and you kick dirt on them, and they keep coming back at you. But I think Spain is just too much firepower. Norway and England for me on Saturday afternoon. That one's going to be the fun one across the board.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one. I'm with you with France. I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult, at least in the first 45, 50 minutes. I think Morocco is going to be able to really give France some issues, specifically, again, taking some of those early games against France where in transition moments and when they get too much possession, they get a little comfortable. And so they could really be exposed behind their back line, but they're just too good. They're a different tier. They're a different animal. I mean, they're so deep. They're so balanced. They have so much firepower. They have more firepower than any team left or any team in the World Cup. Essentially, they're just a different tier. I don't put anyone, not even Spain, gets close to what France can do. So I do think that it's going to be too much for Morocco, but that one's going to be fun, I think, at least for most of that second half of that game. England against Norway, I also like that one as well. If England can get the right guys on the field and keep each other from I don't know, dallygagging a little bit. Because look, when Bellingham is on point and when Gordon is just flying around on that left side and the team is really moving to the purpose of getting Harry Kane in the right positions, I think that they're a phenomenal team. But there are just times where they just, I don't know, they get too complacent and they get too easy on the ball. So we'll see what happens there. But I don't love Norway's one-dimensional play, and I think that Brazil game was more an indictment on Brazil just not being a great Brazil. But I think in this one, England should take it. But that's a fun one for this particular matchup. I think that's probably the better game, even better than Belgium-Spain.
One other team I wanted to talk to you about, and it's the flip side of the England matchup, El Tri. That environment at the Azteca was what we had anticipated it was going to be. 80,000 screaming lunatics that had to wait an hour. So, of course, that just got you that much more fired up. So all of the hosts go out in the same round. And I honestly thought Mexico was a dog in the juice boxes in that matchup. They were like a plus 220. Really? And I'm going, and I'm going, all right, chips in, I'm good. But it just, when you got to late in the match, I think they were 13 of 52 on crosses trying to get that equalizer over the span of the game. When you look at El Tri now, what are you staring at there when you get bounced out in the round of 16 when you're supposed to be better than that, even though, I know the matchup was kind of stacked. But what do you think about what we saw from them in this tournament?
I think Mexico did a good job at losing the right way. You lost fighting. You lost pushing the limits. Even if it was very predictable and not very effective, the way that Javier Aguirre decided to attack those last 15, 20 minutes where they were never able to really establish that they had one more player on the field. They never took advantage of that. I thought that Javier Aguirre was just too limited in his offensive tactics, which I think we all knew. The substitution pattern was just crazy to me. I don't understand taking Quiñones off, putting Jimenez and Memote and a lineup that he's never seen. There was no creating chances after like the last 10 minutes. Gallardo looked gas. He couldn't put a ball to the other side of the field if he wanted to. I mean, he was just shanking ball after ball. It was all about trying to see what Piojo Alvarado would do on the other end. So it just became too predictable. Yeah. But people sometimes don't care necessarily because you have a giant on the other end of the field, right? You're fighting this team that has all of this firepower and has all this history, and so you're just proud that you were able to hurt them and you were able to come back from an early goal, a couple of early goals that it was a 2-minute span where Mexico really lost this game, where they just completely lost track of where Jude Bellingham was at, and they were unable to really close the flanks, and that back pass at the end line was just the biggest issue for Mexico the entire game. But pushing back, getting back into this game and forcing a PK and Quiñones' initial goal, all of that, I just think people left that stadium feeling pride, and that's going to make Marquez his job easier moving forward because he's going to have the belief of the people, not to mention the fact that everybody loves Marquez in Mexico, and now Aguirre gets a step away, as we all knew he would, and he passes the torch down. And I just think that Mexico did it right, and they're going to have, at the very least, people support moving forward,
because they were a team that was in transition. And I mean that in a roster sense and eventually a philosophical sense, because you had a club in Mexico that I think they waited too late to start bringing in their younger talent. It reminded me a lot of, don't tell Niko I said this, but it reminded me a lot of Italy, where Italy stayed with their veterans far too long, and they're unwilling to bring in younger talent to help get that next generation up and running so you don't get stuck in the Euros. we saw that we saw it with Mexico, because a couple of years ago, I mean, when they were in Gold Cup and stuff, and you're in qualifying, and you're sitting there going, man, this is an old bunch, and they're sticking with their older players, and that someone finally stood up and was like, nah, fam, we got to swap this out. We got to go with the younger talent. And you're seeing that with folks like Mora, and you're seeing the future now with them. And so I think there is reason for optimism, because they finally realized, we got to change things here or we're stuck. And they were stuck for a long time.
Yeah, no. And fortunately, at least you're starting to see a couple of players here and there. I think that Mexico, if anything, has done a good job on recruiting. I thought that Brian Gutierrez was a hell of a find.
Yes.
Obviously, Julian Quiñones, and naturalizing him, he was without a doubt the player of the tournament for Mexico. I thought they did a good job with bringing Obed Vargas in, although he didn't get a lot of play time. And Morita, he has a lot of time to get better, right? Because he did not have a good performance against England. I thought that was the one good substitution that Javier Aguirre made in that game, because he just was not very effective in this particular game. So there is some players that are coming together that eventually will be interesting how they play. La Hormiga, who also is kind of crazy that he didn't play as much as he should have, especially in that game. And you decided to go with Jimenez, which is kind of funny. But the reality, though, is that there are some players that Rafael Marquez can really work with and develop and just play together, create this cemented group that just seems to be a key component for a lot of players in this tournament.
All right, what else is going on at Pulso Sports? Sounder at Heart. You're going to go catch up with everybody at Q13. What else is going on?
Yes, sir. Which today is going to be kind of interesting, because we have a 3 o'clock or 3:30 availability with Craig Weibel for the Sounders. That kind of came out of nowhere. So that's going to be interesting to see what's going on there. So definitely get that information on Pulso Sports. I'll have whatever we get out of that press conference with the Sounders GM and CSO. What we learned this week with Jeremiah O'Shan, we did a special one just yesterday. It's already out in Sounder at Heart YouTube channel, as well as the podcast network. We talked a lot more about this USMNT team, what it means moving forward, the way that the Sounders specifically and MLS can capitalize on all of this euphoria that's left over from all of these phenomenal games played here at Seattle Field and in the West Coast and in general sense in the United States. And then on Monday, we're going to be going back to Love and Scorchers with Ari Lindewall on Love and Scorchers Kickoff, where we'll break down everything that happens in the next couple of days in this next stage of the World Cup. And we'll continue to push that coverage. We'll be at least 2 more times with Q13 as well, obviously without the national team there that has lessened or minimized some of the other shows we had available. But it's been really fun.
As it always is when you get to hang out with Aaron Levine and everybody there at Q13. As always, my friend, great to see you. Love you very much. And we will catch up with you next week when we're transitioning out of the planetary extravaganza and heading back into league play. And so MLS starts again Thursday, Friday next week as the planetary extravaganza is wrapping up. And then the sprint continues as we roll from there. As always, my friend, great to see you. What cup of coffee are you on?
This is number 2.
There you go. Number 2.
Sure.
Oh, and he's going generic on me today. He's going on the plain brown wrapper. We'll catch up with you soon, my friend. Crash anytime.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
There he goes, Niko Moreno, Pulso Sports and Sounder at Heart. Now, all right. So we are in the third period, 21 minutes in, and I don't think, in as much as we had another injury, Calvin Harris went down for Sporting Kansas City after contact. I don't think we are necessarily going to have any added time or a whole lot. Lucas Hoyos is in net for Atlanta United. We are in the 22nd minute, and I think the player's down with a cramp for Sporting. So keep an eye out. Keep an eye out on that. I don't anticipate that it's going to be any kind of severe added time or anything like that. Trying to see who it was that went down. It looks like it was Zorhan Basong. So Zorhan Basong is I think literally in the middle of a swing, he cramped up and is down on the field, and so now he's up walking, but he's crashing. Yeah, it's crashing on the leg that has the cramped muscle in the calf. So we'll keep an eye on all that. Okay, getting into what else is going on. We've got to do gossip, rumor, and innuendo before we get out of here. We've got to do the final round of 16 rankings when it comes to Chad Gabert and the World Cup Power Index. We'll show you that coming up here in a sec. It is we'll catch up on what Ben Jacobs has to let us know everything going on this morning. It looks like, according to Tom Bogert, Stade Rennais has completed a deal to sign Brian Reynolds from Westerlo, fee of around $5 million, and that came from Tom Bogert about 10:30 this morning. Joined Westerlo in 2022, made 146 EPs in Belgium, and now he's off to Ligue 1. So keep an eye on that. So Stade Rennais, from Westerlo to Stade Rennais, it's Brian Reynolds. Let's see. Hull City closing in on their appointment of Okan Özkan as their new sporting director, leaving Pogon Chezin as their sporting director there, and so he's going to Hull City. Philadelphia Union playing a closed-door scrimmage now with New England at Subaru Park, so we'll have notes on that later. James Penrice, AK Athens defender, Middlesbrough and Blackburn have made inquiries, also appreciated by Rangers, no approach yet. And let's see. No, so and the Associated Press is now adding to the depth of the injury for Christian Pulisic. It is a bone bruise and a microfracture of the tib fib. And so when like I said, I am no comparison whatsoever to anything that a professional athlete pieces together with their existence of being a pro. But when I fractured my fibula, it was 4 weeks to 8 in a cast. So it was initially supposed to be 4, but it ended up as 8. And so it also looks like Cameron Dunbar has scored the leading goal for Atlanta United in their friendly. 5 minutes to go. Cameron Dunbar with the goal to make it 3-2. So Brennan finds Dunbar across to the far post, and then Dunbar with the slam dunk. So your goals today, Jay Fortune, Cooper Sanchez, and Cameron Dunbar. 26th minute now, third period. It is 3-2 Atlanta United over Sporting Kansas City. So we'll keep an eye out on all of that. But a tib-fib microfracture. So my guess is that it would be, and I'll go back and look at the tape, but I think the point of contact was fairly low on the bones. And tibia is the one in front, fibula is the one in the back. And so if it was a tib fib, it was either one of two things, where it was a straight line from one to the other, from one microfracture to the other, or it was at the base. So that would be just, and who was it? I think it was Calvin Harris just sent a ball into the forest. So 27th minute, still 3-2 on a break. But microfractured tib fibula and a bone bruise. Bushnell, Horncastle, Tenorio et al. From The Athletic. Callum Wilson has signed a deal with Brentford. Yes. Free transfer after the departure from West Ham. And so the picture is out, and there were comments from Keith Andrews. So there is the picture of him hovering over the contract with the pen. Union Omaha is announcing their 5th year of hosting the Unified Series for the Special Olympics in the state of Nebraska. Signing day 12:30 Sunday, July 12th at Morrison Stadium, and the first match will take place 6 days later. So very cool stuff out of Union Omaha. Washington Spirit have signed Cameroonian standout Monique Ngok, and she transfers over from Fleury 91 in France on a 3-year deal with a 2029 option. As a part of the move, the Spirit will pay a transfer fee to FC Fleury 91 Coeur d'Esson in the Premier League in France. 19 Premier League matches this past year, 2 goals, and finished in the top 5. 41 starts, 3 seasons, earned promotions to the Premier League in her second season. And at 17 years old, part of Cameroonian's quarterfinal performance at WAFCON in 2022, advanced to the knockout stage for the 11th time in Federation history. So another signing for Washington Spirit. And let's see, NYCFC 2 signs defender Adonis Campos. That is official today from the parent club. Last night in the Can Champ, it was Vancouver 4-1 winners over Cavalry FC. So let's see what the other finals were. I think there was a late PK in one of those matches that was yesterday. And obviously the matchups today. But yeah, Can Champ, it was quarterfinal, and it is with the quarterfinals, it is two-leg aggregate. Saint Laurent Forge 1-1 on aggregate. Supra leading Atletico Ottawa 3-1 in the aggregate. CF Montreal on a late PK beat Vancouver FC in leg 1, 2-1, and then Vancouver leads Cavalry by the score of 4-1 after leg number 1. So that is your Can Champ update as of very early this morning. So I'm trying to see if there's anything else that might have missed. All right, so let's check sources and stories and take the tour and let you know what else is going on. We'll be down at the USWNT U20 camp later today, and we will have all of the updates that are coming from that. We'll have that tomorrow. So final round of 16 rankings, courtesy of Chad Gabert and our friends at Kennesaw State. So let's see if I can find. Okay, so here is, whoa, wow. Shocking no one. Actually, I need to move this forward. Come on now. Wow, okay, so I need to have this moved forward. Open, there we go. Okay, so, all right, so let me see if I can continue to move this closer. But you have, obviously, Lionel Messi that is on top. So let me screen share this. But I think I did it too closely, so you can't see the whole thing. So this is our World Cup player index. Okay, so I have to do it at this size because it's very, very tight. All right, so open with none of those. Okay, so I'm not going to open it that way. All right, so let me screen share this real quickly. Surprising no one, Lionel Messi's at the top of the World Cup power rankings, brought to us by our friends with Chad Gabert and our friends at Kennesaw State. So here we go. Here are the rankings as we know them. And I need to oh, come on now. It's like, so everything just exploded and went a direction it wasn't supposed to. So can I maximize this? What can I do here? No, that's not what I wanted to do. All right, so go back to minimizing. Okay. I'm at 175%, and I'm blowing the daylights out of this thing. So I've got to go back to where I can actually see it and read it for you. And might have to be at 100%. Come on now. This is what happens when you're trying to do something and come on, drag to move. Come on. Yeah, this is what happens when you're in added time, that anything can happen, and it usually does. So I think the matchup is over with Atlanta United and Sporting Kansas City. Ends up 3-2. And so Atlanta United gets the win. So much for this idea. I was trying to see if I could do it, but it's not cooperating. And so that is disappointing that I can't slide everything down. But anyway, that was a thought. So I'm going to stop the screen sharing because it's driving me crazy. And if it's driving me crazy, I'm sure it's driving y'all crazy. So obviously number one is Lionel Messi, and this is after the round of 16. So Lionel Messi is on top, and he is 5 points clear of number 2, and that's Erling Haaland at 22.4. Jude Bellingham, Kylian Mbappe, Michael Olise. Alex Freeman was ranked at number 6, but a lot of his points came from defense at a 17.2. Vinicius Jr., Casemiro, Leandro Trossard, and Lamine Yamal at your top 10. Other notables, Harry Kane is at 11. Pedri is at 13. Matias Galarza wrapped up at 14 right now before you change any other numbers. Julian Quinones, Caceres, and Cubas from Paraguay. Ashraf Hakimi from Morocco is at 18 at 13.8. Rodri is 19. Eustachio from Canada is at number 20. Others of note under number 20. Dembele and Upamecano, 24 and 25. It is El Ainoui and El Khanous at 27 and 28. Alexis and Lisandro Martinez at 29 and 30. Enzo Fernandez at 33. De Ketelaere is at 37 after his output. No points on defense. And let's see, Granit Xhaka is at 41. Defugerol at 44. Mustafa Ziko at 46 for Egypt. So that's your top 50. And I need to improve. I need to expand this. That is way too small. Yeah, I got to figure out how to do that because I think I might have just absolutely just. I got to figure out how to expand the size of this thing because now the print's too small. Anyway, that's the kind of jam I got myself into here. All right, let's get into all of the other news and things that we have for you here this morning. And what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, brought to us by our friends at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. And that link is important. It helps us out, helps you out. And it lets you know where you can watch anything and everything. You get a lot of the streaming services in South America to add to your A and B divisions that you might not necessarily have known existed. So you've got them to hang out, and you get to expand there. You get Copa Argentina on TIC. You get Libertadores Sudamericana over on beIN Sports. You get TVV out of Venezuela, CDO Plus out of Chile, Liga 1 Max Pro out of Peru. You get all of the activity that happens on beIN in Africa. You get AFCON qualifiers, WAFCON coming up in a couple of weeks. You get all the friendlies that are there. You get their European play with the French League, the Polish League, and the Turkish League. So that's all that you get there. Once again, at fntz.co/soccer down here. Now, France and Morocco on Big Fox at 4 o'clock. Also on Telemundo and Fox ONE and on Peacock. And that's the only thing you got going on today. So that was pretty easy. Mexico and England drew almost 45 million viewers. Almost 45 million viewers for Mexico and England. And Telemundo had more than Fox. 23,000,002 to 21,742. Almost 45 million watching Mexico and England. 42 watched USA and Belgium. 30 million of those on Fox, 12 million on Telemundo. To give you an idea, the 2026 championship games in the NFC and the AFC drew an average of 47.4 million. Mexico and England got you 44.9. So that was that's some stellar stuff there. All right, gossip, rumor, and innuendo will get you into all of the other stuff that is going on that we need to keep an eye on. And the rumor mill, Barca have bid for Dortmund's Karim Adeyemi. United and Chelsea have agreed on a $67 million deal on Andres Santos. And let's see here. Going into the other gossips. And who else is out there? So, as of early this morning, trending rumors, Spurs, Arsenal battling over the signature of RB Leipzig winger Antonio Nusa. Bundesliga club reportedly have set a £51 million valuation on the Norway international. Premier League expected to be his next destination, despite Barca keeping tabs on the situation. Nusa has scored 4 goals, 3 assists, 31 league appearances this year. Liverpool, United, and Barca interested in Lucas Harrington. 18-year-old Australia international caught the attention of folks because of the World Cup. So keep an eye on that. That's from Team Talk. Arsenal has to meet Villa's valuation if they want to sign Morgan Rogers, according to Football Insider. Villa expected to stand firm with their demands of a £130 million transfer fee. 10 goals in 37. Near the top of the shortlist for Mikel Arteta. Liverpool keen on Brighton winger Yankuba Minte, according to Team Talk, preparing a proposal, having identified him as a potential alternative to Yan Diomande in their search for a Mo Salah successor. reportedly view him as one of the best prospects in the Premier League, with plans to use Anthony Gordon's switch from Newcastle to Barcelona as a yardstick to demand between 70 and 80 million pounds. Mente had 4 and 3 in 34 league matches this year. Real Madrid remain admirers of Erling Haaland, having kept on tabs with him ever since he was at Molde. That's from Diario AS. Fabrizio Romano says that La Liga club have cooled their interest in Rodri, with the 30-year-old looking as an option if Florentino Perez wasn't reelected in June. We mentioned Adeyemi out of contract, getting an offer from Barca. Manchester United, Andre Santos deal, initial fee of 48 million pounds with another 2 in add-ons. Personal terms in place. Santos has been given permission by Chelsea to undergo medical. Arsenal stepping up their interest in Bruno Guimaraes. Sorry, Alex. Newcastle do not want to let him leave. Sources suggest the club are aware Guimaraes has indicated a desire to move to the Premier League champs. Tchouaméni has agreed on a new contract to time to Real Madrid until 2031. Came in 2022 for a fee of €85 million. Previous deal was set to expire in 2028. Marcus Rashford being looked at being offloaded by Manchester United before their preseason training camp. That's from the 3-letter paper. Gazzetta, Inter Milan, and Como remain in competition for Chelsea defender Trevor Chalobah. Crystal Palace have agreed on a deal to sign free agent defender Oscar Mingueza, who recently left Celta de Vigo. That's from Fabrizio Romano, as is Randall Colomowani being keen on a switch from PSG to Juve. Spurs continue to monitor the situation with Cologne winger Said Al-Mallah, who's been linked with Brentford. Napoli looking to offload Romelu Lukaku this summer. That's from Gazzetta. Multiple clubs have shown interest in San Lorenzo and Paraguay international keeper Orlando Gil following his performance at the World Cup. That is from Matteo Moretto. Now, that's all of the gossip, rumor, and innuendo from the morning. Let me check and see what other storylines I have here posted. Let's see. Matt Turner looking like he's going to re-sign with the Revs. We mentioned Rafa Marquez taking over in Mexico. The 29 Club World Cup, according to Matt Hughes at The Guardian, the U.S. is trying to negotiate to bring that here. Apex Holdings is now investing in the Northern Super League. European revenue is going through the roof. And I think that might do it on the news and notes section of what's going on. Just your quick headlines here. Once again, Atlanta United winning 3-2 in their friendly late goal by Cameron Dunbar. Maddie and Jason should have reaction from that, and that will be up and running later today. Speaking of later today, I've got to increase. I have to increase the size of this thing. This is entirely too small. So let's see. Working quickly here. Where is my? Oh, here it is. All right. So now, later today, it is going to be Atlanta Soccer tonight. And that is going to be at 10 o'clock, 92.9 The Game on the Odyssey app. Tonight's show looking at France and Morocco, which is this afternoon, looking ahead of the rest of the matches this weekend. Tournament winding down to the Final Four. Other stuff that we might have missed, Harry Wilson signing on a free with Leeds after his contract with Fulham expired. And Franco Armani is set to leave River Plate for Atlético Nacional. Verbal agreement in place for the keeper to return to the Medellin club, where he first became a star, ending a River Plate spell that got him 10 official titles, both teams finalizing the deal. So 10 o'clock tonight, 92.9 The Game, Odyssey app, 92.9 The Game YouTube channel, AST with Jason tonight, and he'll break stuff down for you as they go here on your Thursday. And so, on that note, we're going to pack it in, and we'll let you know what else is going on in and around. But keep an eye out tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be recapping what happened today in the first half hour. 9:30, it's going to be the chairman of the NPSL over a recent decision to try and become something outside of a 501c6. And so we'll catch up with Stephen Whitaker, and they're exploring a member-owned league structure. And so we're going to catch up with him tomorrow morning at 9:30. We are efforting coaches sound out of Asheville as they head north to Vermont Green in the USLW semis, national semifinals. Trying to get that in that slot. Catch up with our friends at Apple TV at 10. Jake Griffith, play-by-play voice of Minnesota Aurora, as they head to Salmon Bay in the other national semifinal in USLW. That's going to be at 10:30. And then who knows whatever else is going to be going on for the remainder of the show. So that's the rundown for tomorrow. We're going to be flying around all over the place, bunch of different levels, bunch of all levels here in the beautiful game, and we'll catch up with you at 9:05 in the morning on a Friday. So for everyone here, to all of you there, thanks for dropping by. Thanks to Lapo and Rush, Lauren Lapomarda and Rush Olsen, Mint Farm Films, and it is Raising Her Game. You can see that 3-part docuseries on Tubi. Great to catch up with Kaylor Hodges. Great to catch up with Nino and Niko. And we will figure out what is going on in the rest of the planet when we come back here in 21 and a half hours. So for everybody here, for all of you there, mucho platiel, play it safe. Since it is the end of the show, let me say hi to everybody before we get out of here. Anthony Gordon, yes, no doubt. He could have made more money. He could have made some pounds at Newcastle as well. So morning, David. Morning, Abby. Let's see. Oh, reasonable complexity. You did not show up. Well, actually, if you did, I'm gonna knock you out. So we got a couple of bots I got to take care of. And then let's see. And good morning, David. So there we go. That's it from here. I've gone far too long because you guys have lives. So back at it again in 21 and a half hours. And since it is the end of the show, that means one thing. You get to do this. Back at it again, 9:05 in the morning for a Freestyle Friday. See you then.